Hello everyone, welcome back. Get comfortable, relax, and enjoy today's exciting fanfic. Now, let's begin part 2. Naruto woke up the next day, with sudden feelings all over the place. After he came home from Team 8 retrieval mission, somehow seeing Kurenai again, made him feel occasional chest pains that were driving him insane. When he realized that Kurenai was captured by Kumo shinobis, he could feel anger, not Kyuubi anger, since he didn't want to rely on the fox anymore, but killing intent anger, he wanted to save her more than anything. If this happened before he became ANBU, he would charge against the Kumo shinobis, head-on without thinking twice, probably causing his and her death in the process. Naruto realized that in the past, his actions couldn't be more wrong. He cursed himself for not thinking about changing before. If he changed, no one would have to suffer to protect him like the way people did before. Naruto got out of the bed and went to the kitchen to grab some breakfast, waking up Ace, who was sleeping on the couch. The wolf saw Naruto's face and eyes, and managed to see everything that he needed to know. Naruto was sad, angry and disappointed at himself, and Ace, just by looking at him, could read him like an open book. In fact, over time, Ace became the only one who understood Naruto, since ever. Sure, there was Iruka, Kakashi, Kurenai, Sandaime, Tsunade, Jiraiya and some of the Rookie 9, but Ace was the one Naruto could count to share some feelings, and both of them knew that. What's the matter, kid? I can see in your eyes, is there something wrong? I'm disgusted at myself for not realizing before that I was weak and didn't do anything about it. Now it's already late. If I'd realized 2 years ago, when I graduated at the academy, I would be much stronger and people wouldn't have to underestimate me or downsize me. If I showed everyone that I didn't have to resort to his power all the time, then they would drop this hatred. Not everyone can fight the demons, Will, kid, I already told you that. Back when you were at the academy, you didn't have the experience you have now, thanks to your time at ANBU Special Forces and our battles together. But you've got to realize that your past is far gone now and there is only the present and the future. No one can live based on past events, you have to live according to the present and the future. I know that, but if I were stronger before, then. For the love of God, kid, stop whining about the past, cause no good can come of this. I'm sorry I have to say this, but your past has to be forgotten so that the present and the future can appear. If you let past obscure your judgment, you'll never grow up and may well end up dead in battle. Ace understood Naruto, but he had to improve his self-esteem a little bit. Kid, you're one of Konoha's elite ANBU, you should be proud of what you accomplished right now. You're right, Ace, sorry for that, I guess that I let my emotions get in the way again. Kid, your emotions are what keep you alive in the first place. Without instinct, you're no different than any cold-hearted murderers, who are just in for the kill. It came the time for you to do something that let you cope with your stressful missions. But I believe that you already got one, don't you? You have heart to protect this village, so that's not a problem. There is another issue in your mind, isn't it? How can you tell? When I looked in your eyes, I felt 3 different kinds of emotions: sad, disappointment and anger. And I pretty much remember how your eyes were shining yellow yesterday of anger towards the kidnappers of Team 8 inches, said Ace, much to the surprise of Naruto, which by this time, knew that he couldn't hide anything from his friend and partner in battle. I can't hide anything from you, now can I? No, you cannot. Now how is it? Is it that cat-masked ANBU? Or is the Genjutsu specialist Junin? The Junin, her name is Kurenai. By the look in your eyes, I can tell that you have feelings for her. Yeah, pretty much. I think I may be in love with her. During my training trip with Jiraiya-sensei, I came to encounter her, being cornered by 2 Iwa ANBUs, so I rescued her, killing them. When we exchanged looks, it was like time stopped and I could see those blood-red ruby eyes looking at mine. After that, it was safe to say that I had the best week of my life with her, but she had to return to Konoha to report for her failed mission and disappeared. When I returned home, I went to look for her only to know that she was with another man, explained Naruto, while Ace was paying attention. She broke your heart, didn't she? A lot actually. I've had a glimpse about her, as well, kid, and I can tell people's emotions just by looking through people's eyes. I can say that she is feeling just like you're feeling right now. If you're telling me that both of you exchanged looks and then connected, I can tell you this, she feels the same about you. I just hope you're right, Ace. Now we've got to go to ANBU headquarters. If you want, breakfast is on the table. I'll be taking a shower and put my ANBU gear. Thanks, I was kind of hungry, said Ace as he lied down on the couch once again. After some time, Naruto appeared on the living room with his ANBU uniform with his black mask on this hand, looking at Ace. When he put that mask, he is no longer Naruto, he is Black Wolf and he knew that. Once he put on the mask, he became focused on the task at hand. They exchanged looks with each other and then went out of the apartment. Both of them went jumping rooftops so fast that the eye could only see to black blurs and then it was gone. While they were jumping, they passed one red-eyed Kunoichi's apartment and surprisingly enough, she was looking at the window when Black Wolf and Ace were passing by and she saw them passing in less than a second, but that was enough for Black Wolf and Kurenai to look at each other. At Kurenai's apartment, she still had some time until she had to meet Team 8, so she just stood near her window, looking at Konoha getting ready for the day, since shops were starting to open and the people were starting to gather through the streets. She was, then, looking at the sky, wondering how her beloved was doing. She was wondering what to tell him when they would meet at the West Gate at midnight. She was confident that they could be together again and her heart would finally beat the normal way. She couldn't take that anymore, every day it pounded harder and just couldn't stop. Today would be the day that she would confess her love to him. Suddenly, she felt two very strong signatures coming close to her and she tensed a little bit. When the two blurs appeared in front of her, she was shocked. It was him and a big black wolf. It was Black Wolf ANBU, aka Uzumaki Naruto, and somehow she saw his blue cerulean eyes for 1 second, time enough to show her that Black Wolf was in fact Naruto and she was extremely happy. She would get him back to her again and no one would stop that. Team 8's a training ground. Kurenai was the first one to arrive, since she got up earlier. A few minutes later, Hinata and Kiba arrived, then Shino arrived just moments later. Good morning, team, how are you doing? Greeted Kurenai, seeing their faces. What happened to you, guys? What everyone is sad about? It's about our last mission, Kurenai-sensei. We were captured by Kumo shinobis and we had to resort for outside help. Kiba said, speaking from his team, while earning nods from the other two. I see. There was your first failure, isn't it? Yeah, that was hard for me too. But what you've got to do is train harder so that this won't happen again. Hi, Kurenai-sensei. But something about that black masked ANBU really intrigues me, right Akamaru? Everyone looked at Kiba, seeing that he was the only one still clueless of the fact that the black masked ANBU was in fact Naruto. What about him, Kiba? Asked Kurenai, trying not to tell the truth about the black masked ANBU to Kiba, since the other two did already know about it. Well, I felt like I already knew him, somewhat, but the genjutsu he used, it vanished any of my expectations in order to recognize him. I don't know any genjutsu user other than yourself, Kurenai-sensei. Kiba, ANBUs are considered Konoha's best shinobis, it's no wonder they are as strong as you've noticed. But I can guarantee Kiba that you know him better than you think you do. In fact, I think that everyone in here knows who he is, but since he wears a mask, it's for a reason and you should tell no one about this. Got it? After a nod from their team, they separated from each other for a light spar, Kurenai and Hinata, Shino and Kiba. So, Kurenai-sensei, do you finally manage to see the black masked ANBU? I did. I could see his eyes as he was flying by next to my apartment, but there was another creature with him, something like a wolf. It was quite strange. Did you think he got the wolf contract? He could be his summon. Maybe, but I've never seen a summon walk close to the summoner, all the time. I believe that the wolf is like Akamaru is to Kiba. There is a possibility, Kurenai-sensei, but maybe he is both a summon and his partner. A summon and a partner. Could it be? I don't know, Hinata. After about 3 hours of training, Team 8 said their goodbyes to each other, since they didn't have any missions today, much to Kurenai's happiness, cause she would be furious if the one time she was to meet Naruto, Tsunade would send them on a mission. Kurenai was walking through the crowded streets of Konoha, minding her own business, thinking about her encounter date with the blonde ANBU elite, when a message was delivered to her by the Hokage's personal hawk. Tsunade-sama, if you put me on a mission, you'll regret. At Tsunade's office. When Kurenai entered Tsunade's office, she was already expecting to be sent on a mission, cursing her luck. She entered and saw not only Tsunade, but Jiraiya as well, looking at her with a small grin on their faces. What are those two planning? Kurenai, please take a seat. Hi, Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sama, what can I be of service? Actually, it's about your encounter with Black Wolf tonight while he is doing border patrol near the West Bridge. You were able to see how he reacted when you thanked him for saving all of you, right? So, you know as I know that he's no longer the same Naruto everyone used to know. It seemed that he joined ANBU with two purposes, and I believe that he will share them with you, since what I know it's only a lucky guess. After all this time, I don't know anyone that can be so unpredictable like him. When I met him the first day, I couldn't stand his bouncing all the time. After some time, I became used to him, and his referring me as Ba-chan. When he returned and called me Tsunade-sama, my heart froze instantly. Suddenly the Naruto standing in front of me wasn't the real him, and I even believe he was brainwashed. During his time in ANBU, he grew a lot stronger, faster, fearless and emotionless. It was not because of the mask. Everyone could see ANBU's eyes, but when he showed his eyes to me, it was the first time I sensed fear, just by looking at someone. I figured that I was surprised because of his sudden change of feelings. The reason why I'm telling you this is because you'll be meeting him, and given the fact that what you've done to him, I'm worried about. Tsunade was cut short by Kurenai. I know what I did to him, Tsunade-sama. I know very much. Every time I think of him, or when I see him, or even when I hear his voice, my heart stops, and every time I have a feeling of extreme regret of what I've done to him. Tsunade-sama, Jiraiya-sama, I know how you like him, as well. I think that you guys see him as a son figure, and he too cares deeply for both of you. I know that because he told me when we were together at the forest. I don't know why he doesn't call you like you're used to. Maybe if he did, he would give away his identity to anyone, I don't know. Kurenai, you have to realize that Naruto fights an everyday battle with Kyuubi. He just can't give in to his emotions, just like anyone, said Jiraiya. With all due respect to both of you, but Naruto isn't a kid anymore. He has killed already, killed without the Kyuubi's influence. He cared for everyone in this village, even though no one cared for him. He has become a part of ANBU's elite, a fate that many shinobi here, with much less burden than Naruto, and still couldn't be able to do what he did. Do not underestimate him or treat him like some sort of child who doesn't know what he's doing, because if that was true, then Kyuubi would have destroyed us all years ago. Naruto controls it, Naruto shows it who's in charge. And on top of that, he managed to melt my heart by only looking directly through my eyes, something that I once thought that no man could ever do, said Kurenai, bursting with tears and extremely proud of defending Naruto like she did. Tsunade and Jiraiya were flabbergasted by Kurenai's outburst. Sure, they knew that she and Naruto had a relationship, but until now, Kurenai didn't prove that she was in love with him. They have the same thought in their minds, as to why he became what he did, and they managed to realize that their adopted son was already a man, a shinobi of the leaf, deadly to his enemies and caring to the ones, precious people, to him. The reasons why Naruto became ANBU was to get stronger and protect everyone from Akatsuki, since they would come after him. With his disappearance, nobody would have to protect him, because of his burden. Kurenai, on behalf of the Sanin's name and Godime, we humbly apologize for what we said. You're right, we underestimated him in a way. We didn't expect him to get this far, and up to now we wasn't entirely sure about your feelings for him. Now that you showed us just exactly how you feel about him, I can say that you guys will have a great future together. Now I know of the reason why he became ANBU, and I believe that you know as well, right? To protect everyone from the burden he carries, so he doesn't have to worry about other ones protecting him from the Akatsuki, said Kurenai, with tears still falling, while earning nods from Jiraiya and Tsunade. Right. Kakashi was right after all. This is the real Naruto. The one we used to know, was actually wearing a cheerful mask all the time, hiding his true self. Naruto with the black mask, vowed to carry alone his burden, and he would prefer to kill himself if that what it would take to protect his precious people. We don't have to worry about his condition, because he is already all grown up and is a real ninja of the leaf, no less, no more. Kurenai was relieved to say the least. She didn't know why she outburst like that in front of not only two Sanins, but also the Godime Hokage, but she didn't regret what she said, since those words were true. Sure, she was a professional, sure she was respectful, but somehow she felt like she had to back Naruto up from these two, and she felt extremely proud of what her love had accomplished just out of his confidence and inner strength, and to think that he was willing to carry the Kyuubi's burden all by himself, it amazed her even more, now that she thought about it. Kyuubi was responsible for the worst attack in Konoha since its foundation, and Naruto is the one to control the beast with his own body. He would prefer to kill himself than to let anyone suffer because of what he was chosen to restrain. Tsunade-sama, it's getting late, is there anything else you need me for? No, Kurenai, you're dismissed. Sorry for what we said, we didn't put into consideration about how much you wanted to be with him, and that just proves that he has the heart of a warrior and that his legend would continue. I'm looking forward to seeing what you two would accomplish together. Hi, Hokage-sama, I know we will. At ANBU's headquarters, it was already 9 p.m. and those who didn't have families to go to, would stay in case there was an emergency call for the Hokage. In the training ground, you could see Black Wolf fighting against Hawk. These two were the ultimate ANBU's duo and they have accomplished a lot of missions together. BAS ranked mission, you name it. Each one protecting the other. And their combined attacks proved to be unstoppable, since Black Wolf's wind part affinity would enhance Hawk's fire jutsus, to an extent that they could wipe out an army with just two jutsus, Kaden Guyakyu no Jutsu, Fire Style, Great Fireball, and Black Wolf's Fuden Daitapa. Now, they were only focusing on Taijutsu contest, both of them were panting a little bit, because both of them happened to have great chakra reserves and could hold on longer than almost everyone in ANBU. Both of them went charging each other, with their chakra-enhanced arms almost crashing together, creating a little wave of chakra through the training area, breaking a few windows, because of that. When they noticed, they decided to stop of fear that the bill would be sent to them, so they stopped and laughed a bit like they were buddies their whole life. Naruto found a friend in ANBU, a colleague and a rival all in a same person, likewise Hawk did. Black Wolf's once sadness in the morning was long gone and Ace was a witness to that. He was watching their fight and was quite impressed with their moves. Ace had to realize that he did change as well, he had seen a partner in Naruto and a friend, so he was not a lone wolf anymore, now he traveled alongside another wolf, just as deadly and just as strong. Ace found a home in Konoha and he enjoyed going to the Hokage monument with Naruto to just watch the sunset's effect on Konoha. That was their place. Hawk-san, it's almost time for my mission of border patrol, I really should get going. If you ask me, I think you're crazy of doing this hell border patrol missions, and I think you're even more crazy for volunteering for this, Hawk said. Hey, I don't complain, it's peace and quiet out there. ANBU's needs that every once in a while, and that was how I met Ace, so I don't regret volunteering. Said Naruto looking at Ace. I guess you're right, we see just so many crap, there's sometimes is nice to just relax a bit, too bad I like the rush of our missions. Don't get too soft, Black Wolf, or I might just kick your, the next time. Now who is the crazy talking? Black Wolf, I'm off for tonight, see you tomorrow. See ya. So, Ace, let's head to the west gate for our mission, Naruto said, and Ace just disappeared, playing a little game. Oh, so it's like that, isn't it? Come here, you, I'll get you for this. Let's just see you try, Gaki. Don't push your luck, you're just winning because you had a head start. In less than 10 minutes, Naruto and Ace traveled all the way to the west gate, until they reached their favorite spot, a log that faced the river, which in time mirrored the image of the full moon, much to the wolves' happiness, since they both enjoyed the beauty of the moon reflecting through the calm river water. Also, Naruto could just relax hearing the sound of the calm water making its way towards to meet another river very slowly, sending Naruto a natural sound that brought him utter peace. With Kurenai, when she looked at the clock, it was only 1 minute to midnight, so she opened her door and started jumping rooftops to reach there in a peaceful way as to not alert any other ANBUs. She was wondering a bit before looking at the sky and noticed that today it was full moon and the beauty of it was just indescribable to her. Little did she know that her lover was staring at the same view from his spot by the woods. Her heart was beating steady now, showing her that her decision of meeting him was the best thing to do. She would go there and confess her love to him, like she should have done a while ago, when he returned from his training trip. When she reached the enormous gate, she ironically compared the size of the gate with Naruto, seeing that he was everything to her. He would protect her, just like these gates would protect Konoha. She saw an opening on the gate, which could only mean that Black Wolf had passed through the gate and was fulfilling his mission. She was wondering why Naruto chose to be here every week on this particular date, patrolling the west board. She came to learn from Tsunade that Naruto did volunteer for this kind of mission and she didn't know why he did this. Does he sleep once in a while? She was amazed at how much stamina Naruto had, if he could be a part of ANBU elite and still be up until this time. But then, again, this would be one of the many things that were impressive about him. Since she saw him on the forest, he was everything a woman could ask for in a man: loving, caring, respectful and quite handsome. Kurenai blushed at the last compliment. She remembered how he looked like back then and she wondered how much he grew physically all this time. As she passed the gate, she noticed that the full moon was illuminating everything and that the forest would receive constant moonlight, demonstrating to her this ultimate view of a forest being illuminated by the full moon. She was flabbergasted. She couldn't have thought of a better place or a better time to do what her heart intended for her to do all along. When she was walking towards a small river, her jaw dropped all the way to the ground. She was paying close attention to the way the moon's reflection on the river would be so damn beautiful, and yet she couldn't find her lover or any trace of his chakra signature. She was beginning to feel like she was too late, thinking that he did already leave, but she took away that thought, since his mission would end to another 15 minutes and he had to be here. Suddenly, her eyes shifted the moon's reflection on the river and noticed a figure seated on a log near a four-legged creature. As she was approaching the guy, her heart started beating fast, but it wasn't like anything she felt before. It was beating of anticipation of meeting again with her lover. A few more steps, she could already see the black-masked ANBU sitting there staring at the moon as well. Suddenly, she heard two words that make her heart feel much better. Two words that only the one blonde companion could say, seeing that he was the one who gave the compliment to Kurenai, when they met at the IWA forest. Red Rose, whispered Naruto, still looking at the reflection of the moon, or at least from Kurenai's view of where he would be looking. It's been a while, Anbu-san. Kurenai's professional tone would never be lost, as she earned the rank of Konoha's Junin for a reason, although she was just waiting to tell him about her feelings for the blonde. 2.5 years. It's astonishing to me that you could be more beautiful than before, Kurenai-san. Even though Naruto was still on a mission and still hidden behind the Black Wolf mask, that didn't mean that he couldn't be himself, that didn't mean that he couldn't be charming and romantic to the one woman who earned his heart like no one had before in his life. But still, she was the one that also tore it apart, when started dating another man, and although Naruto wanted to move this thought from his head, he couldn't, at least not by his own will, not yet anyway. ANBU can change a man's way of thinking, after some horrified views of battle scenes and body parts just hanging from trees. Still charming as ever, I see. You've become strong, blue eyes, your name is becoming very famous throughout the shinobis, you know. Konoha's Black Wolf. Naruto turned his mask to see the beauty who sit next to him on the log. He never knew that his name was being every shinobi in Kunoichi's dialogue, nor that he cared about. Gossip was one of the many things he despised, since only a few comments were true and those were highly changed to make a compelling story to the ones who liked to hear. But the name Kurenai mentioned, he was really thinking about. She never called him by the color of his eyes and was caught wondering if Kurenai did that in order to give the ANBU a compliment, without giving away his cover. I don't tend to believe in rumors and gossips, Kurenai-san. All of them are highly overrated and the person would change the events only in order to give the story more emotions. But I know that you don't believe what people say, do you, Kurenai-san? Asked Naruto with a motionless tone behind his mask. What he didn't notice until just now, that he couldn't take his eyes off hers. It was like they were exchanging looks all over again. Normally I wouldn't, but the stories came from Godime-sama herself, so I don't think she would make a story up just to bolt your status to everyone. All Tsunade-sama knows about it's the mission, it's that either was accomplished or failed, since she only have a report to base her stories, she don't know what really happens at missions. But given my team's successful assignments, I could see that we're doing well. Kurenai thought for a moment, but decided to leave the thought. Sure, he was being modest regarding his abilities, but since ANBU work undercover, one ANBU's abilities were only known by his colleagues, as a matter of keeping the element of surprise. I wouldn't take you for modest, ANBU-san, but even if you wouldn't recognize, people can, I know I do, as well as Kakashi-san and the Hokage-sama. Huh, there was a time back when I was graduating from the academy, when I actually cared for others' opinion about either myself or my abilities as a shinobi. Funny how time changes a person, ain't it? Kurenai knew that Naruto, back then, was only wearing his cheerful mask all the time, and she knew that the person in front of her was the real Naruto, strong, charming, respectful and determined. She loved those qualities in him as she was beginning to lose her emotionless tone on the conversation, seeing that her lover was now highly matured mentally and wouldn't say anything as to endanger any negative situation. I see, so, how's Asuma doing? There it was. He popped the question that needed to be answered in order for him to start opening his heart for her. Naruto looked at the sudden sad eyes on the kunoichi's face and knew that she was somehow ashamed regarding this issue. You were waiting to make this question all along, didn't you, Anbu-san? As to the answer, I am no longer dating him. When hearing that, the Anbu turned to see her eyes studying her response, and he somehow knew she was speaking the truth. As to Kurenai, she knew that she had to talk to him about it, but she just couldn't keep this from him, as she would be confessing his love to him. Why? Asked Naruto without the need of any other word, so to Kurenai to take a deep breath and start proceeding to her mission. I was only fooling myself with him. Deep down inside, I knew that my heart belongs to someone else and I just couldn't fool him with false hopes. It's not him the one I'm in love with. Who is then? Naruto, since was behind his mask, managed to hide his anticipation about hearing the answer to his question. To him, she was the only one in his heart, that what it is and that what's always will be. But he didn't know she felt the same for him. His heart was starting beating again, not with anger, not with sadness, but anticipation to her if his beloved would think of him as he thought of her. The one I'm in love with, Anbu-san, well, I would rather show much than telling his name, is that alright to you, Anbu-san? Kurenai suddenly made a decision that she would kiss him right there. She couldn't take it anymore. Even though her experience managed to control her anxiety, her heart was winning and she couldn't hold much longer. Do as you wish, mumbled Naruto, not even bothering to display a cool response. To him it felt like the world could end at any time, if it were to depend on what Kurenai wished to show to him, but after what Kurenai intended to do, Naruto wouldn't need to worry. In what we could be seen as an ending love scene movie, Kurenai just put Naruto's entire mission at huge risk, taking away his mask in a reflex manner, putting her arms around the now unmasked Anbu and started kissing him with enough passion that Naruto was frozen for a second. Out of a sudden, his heart pounded on him like crazy and his mind was acknowledging the fact that his beloved kunoichi was kissing him. Naruto returned the kiss with extreme pleasure, as they were kissing right in front of the mirror image reflection of the full moon, making one hell of a picture, one that both of them would cherish for the rest of their lives. The moment was recorded inside their brains. After a few minutes, they break the kiss because of air and both of them just right to do this, as if fate had come knocking on their doors. You're in love with me, Kurenai Haim. I. Ever since our little affair at the Iowa forest, I couldn't stop thinking about you, Naruto. When I returned to Konoha, I was frightened. People called me the Ice Queen of Konoha, for a reason, you know. I just didn't open my heart to anyone at all, but I will not lie to you, I was afraid of our age difference, I was afraid that people would comment behind my back, I was afraid of how would our relationship would be, and out of shame and apprehension, I did the most stupid thing I've ever done in my life and started dating Asuma. I did it because I thought that it would be better if I dated people my age, but somehow I could feel that was fooling myself as my heart was already taken and it was you, Uzumaki Naruto. For the moments we exchanged looks until we're sleeping together, I am truly sorry for what I did and beg for your forgiveness. I was weak and I didn't follow what my heart was showing me all along. It was you, Naruto-kun, and will always be you, Kurenai was now bursting through tears right now on Naruto's chest with his arms around her, showing her how he felt about her. Kurenai, suddenly, felt what her heart was showing her. It was that warm feeling she always had when Naruto hugged her with his arms and keep her safe, more like she was listening to his heart. Kur-chan, when I saw you with Asuma, I won't lie to you, it hurt like hell, believe me. But as my carrier in ANBU was going, I just couldn't stop thinking about those blood ruby eyes of yours. When I first saw them, I instantly felt something inside my body, I was trembling. Trembling from a feeling that, until then, I haven't felt anything that could even resemble a sparkle of what it was. I had dreams about us almost every night I had clearance to rest. Since that day in the forest, I knew that I was in love with you, Kurenai Haim, but now I think that feeling grew up to a point that I know if I lost you again, I just wouldn't know what to do anymore. I'm in love with you, Kurenai-chan, and I'll always love you as you are now registered in my mind and in my heart. You always had a way with words, Naru-kun, I feel the same way, and when you're not around, somehow my chest hurt a lot, only to remind me that you are the one for me and you always will. I love you, Kurenai-chan. I love you too, Naruto-kun. With that, they returned one deep and strong kiss with each other. If anyone would see it, it would resemble as a couple trying to get back from the time they weren't together. That last kiss just counted for their 2 years apart, and they were going with all their might in order to compensate from what they missed. When they break up for air, a voice started saying and broke the attention of the couple, as well as a surprised look from Kurenai. I hate to interrupt your moment, but Black Wolf has an identity to hide, while on a mission, and I would hate if any enemy came to realize that Konoha's Black Wolf was in fact Uzumaki Naruto, so you better put these, so we can go home. Said Ace, holding Naruto's mask on his mouth. Give me that, Ace, sorry, Kurenai Haim, but my companion here is right, that kiss was the best that I ever had, but try not to take away my mask again, okay? I would hate if my enemies found out that you were with me, because they would come to you to get me. I understand, ANBU-san. Do not worry about that, I enjoyed that kiss as well, but I have to say to you that I don't regret what I did for even a second. It felt wonderful and spontaneous, I've never done that before in my life and I love to do that to you. It felt like I couldn't do better, you know. It felt wonderful, all right, I'd never imagine you doing that, it felt great. Now how about we go to my place and so we can compensate for the time lost, and then tomorrow we can have breakfast together, how just that sound? I would like that, ANBU-san. Can I tell you something? I think you'll enjoy it pretty much, whispered Kurenai, with a foxy yet perverted grin on her face, much to Naruto's already perverted mind, while remembering the last time they had. Go ahead. I always wanted to have with an ANBU, whispered Kurenai in Naruto's eyes with a smooth voice that awakened every one of Naruto's hormones that were asleep at the moment, making his body trembled with excitement, but since he was awakened, his prankster side awoke as well, so he joined the conversation on equal terms, showing an enhanced foxy grin that Kurenai always feared it. When she saw it, she was already cursing herself for teasing her lover like that. She damn well knew it would be one hell of a night, only by seeing Naruto's foxy grin. Do you now? I'm glad you feel that way, my Haim, because you're in for a little ride with me, tonight, that I can assure you, said Naruto to Kurenai, now whispering to her ear, making Kurenai nose bleed just by thinking about it, and she could already feel his body on top of her own, sweeting like a pig and moaning her name out of pure pleasure and lust. At Naruto's apartment, lemon scene, action. When they arrived at Naruto's apartment, he took away his mask and gave his usual smile that could send Kurenai to the sky, rocket speed, and she couldn't stop drooling over him. Back when they're outside, she was so caught up on kissing him that she forgot that he now looked hotter than ever. His hair grew, showing a spiked golden hair and that whisker marks. She could just stare at his face and die as a happy woman. If only his face was the best part of him, she would be able to control herself a little better, but as he took off his ANBU's gear and remained with a sleeveless shirt, she noticed the tattoo carved on this well-toned muscles, and love scenes just popped out of her head. Just how did he get so perfectly handsome? Back then, he was already good-looking, but now he's breathtaking and jaw-dropping hot. Kurenai couldn't stop thinking about it. Sure, she loved him for his personality and his blue cerulean eyes, but that didn't mean she could not drool like a fangirl over him, and her hormones were jumping like crazy inside of her. I can't take it anymore. I want him now, right here. Yeah, here is perfect. Naruto was staring at her a little bit confused. He didn't thought for a second that Konoha's most beautiful woman would drool over him. She was beautiful, her eyes just hypnotized him, and her body, well, Naruto was concentrating himself in case he had a nosebleed. He remembered seeing her before, he remembering even having with her, still he could stare at her body every day and still he would drool for the girl his heart belonged. Kurenai Haim, what don't you make yourself comfortable? I'll just take my uniform off and be right back here with you, said Naruto, focusing his eyes on her, like he could see through her. Okay, Naruto-kun, I will be waiting for you. You wouldn't mind if I take some of my clothes off, now would you? Said Kurenai, into Naruto's teasing game. Of course not, in fact I would even prefer that you did just that, my Haim, I'll be right back for you. To say that Kurenai was melting on Naruto's couch would be an understatement. She was feeling like inside of a volcano in eruption as a thought came to her. What with all the teasing, I always cursed those Ika Ika series and now I'm just behaving like one of the main characters. This is not me. I never teased before in my life, but Naruto is a born prankster, and he does it so well, I could as well tease him as well. Now turning to think about, he enjoy being teased, doesn't he? I better not push it though, I don't know what he could do, but then again he was known as Konoha's most unpredictable ninja, so I can't expect less from him. It's just when he teases me, I feel like I'm going out of my mind. My hormones jumps like crazy and the only thing I can imagine is him on top of me pleasuring me 100%. I better took some of my clothes off, then, let's just see how his face will be. I can't wait to see his looks when he sees me on his couch. Oh my god, I'm loving this, I never felt better in all my life. You're really worthy a wait, Naruto-kun. When Naruto put his robe on his back and went back to his living room, his jaw dropped, he couldn't contain the nosebleed anymore, no one could at this circumstances. In front of him, lay Kurenai's form lying on the couch with the most teasing position he has ever seen before. It was breathtaking and he just couldn't take his eyes off her lover's hot body. Inside his mind, he was thanking Kami or whichever god for doing this. Kurenai was waving for him to come to her and just take advantage of her, right there. She was enjoying the teasing a lot and the looks of Naruto's face was just what she wanted. The look a man gives when his woman appears before him, wanting him to just start kissing her and massage her entire body. But Naruto would never lose the battle, he was too damn proud of this ability. He took his eyes from her hot body and turned to look at her eyes with such passion and showing a slightly perverted grin with a mixture of deep blue and feral yellow color, stopping her dead on her track. She could feel that she was losing the battle. Naruto was far too strong of a fighter for her, she just couldn't handle herself anymore. When he looked at her with those eyes, she instantly turned to liquid form and was just going to vapor state. Sure she was, but she felt like she was inside a heater and just couldn't hold anymore. Oh, my god, I give up, he is the best, what was I thinking, trying to tease him more than he did to me, I can't take it anymore, just his eyes looking at my own, it's hard to breathe, let alone try to tease him back, he could as well do anything to me, I'm his to have, please take advantage of me, Naruto, please I beg you. Thought Kurenai, it's impossible, but your body is even more beautiful than before, Kurenai Haim, I could just stare at him all day, said Naruto as he approached her. Her eyes crossed with his own, big mistake. Her heart was pounding like crazy and what he did, then, Kurenai just lost all the blood she had, when Naruto took off his robe and showed his well-toned, six-packed, breathtaking body to her, she was fighting like crazy not to pass out from blood loss as he was approaching her face. Then, with his hand he picked her chin with 2 fingers and lifted her head up to a position where they would kiss, and they did just that. The kiss that they shared was so passionate that pheromones were licking out of their bodies, setting the perfect mood for the perfect love-making. While kissing her, Naruto just laid down so he could got on top of her, taking his hands and massaging every little place of her back, receiving some soft moan from her beloved one. From Kurenai's part, she was hugging his wide body and feeling his back muscles with hard intensity that her soft arms could muster at him. She was feeling his back and was taken aback by how stronger he had become, from his training. Right now, she lost all of the dizziness she had when she saw his body, and his hormones took entire control of her mind, letting her thoughts only to be focused on the blonde on top of her, kissing her passionately and rubbing his hands on her body. When they broke the kiss, Kurenai started talking, moaning his name. "Oh my god, Naruto, you are one hell of a guy. That kiss with you on top of me was just the best thing of my life, and I can't wait to see and feel what you will do to me. I really enjoyed as well, my Heim." Right now Naruto's lips got out of Kurenai's mouth level and started kissing her neck and breathing at them at the same time, earning a deeper moan from Kurenai. After that, he started going lower with his tongue on her body, licking her all over and still massaging the other places with his hands. Right now, Kurenai was going crazy from the inside. Naruto didn't do half of the thing he did the last time and she was all wet inside. When he got down there and started licking, all hell broke and Kurenai closed her eyes, biting her lips so much, wanting to scream his name, as a form of waiting to continue and to never stop. Suddenly, his finger were inside as well, so Kurenai just couldn't hold any more. She had to let go, it was just too much for her to handle. Oh my god, oh Naruto, Naruto, I'm coming, I love you so much." Kurenai couldn't believe what happened. She didn't need much to come, and this thought alone drove her out of her mind. If by just doing that, Naruto managed to make me come, what would be like when he gets inside? Back then, he was good, but not like he was now. Naruto-kun, you remember what I would do to you if you didn't have any condoms back then, right? So, I assume that you'd be prepared and got one for us. I do have, my Heim, it's right here, see? Right, put it on immediately and come here to me. I can't wait anymore Naruto, I want to come harder. This time, I want to just pass out from pleasure. I want to pass out with you on top of me. Now come here, I'm begging you. When Naruto showed his instrument, Kurenai moaned like crazy, remembering what she felt back then, when he was inside of her. But somehow, she was thinking that since his moves were enhanced, this one might have improved as well, and she was trembling in anticipation upon seeing him getting closer and lying on top of her, moaning her name just like she wanted when they met at the West Gate. When Naruto got inside of her, her eyes widened. She was right, this move was entirely new and she was enjoying it. She could see experience in his movements and she could see that Naruto got a lot better at making love and making her feel like she was on top of a cloud. Naruto's was perfect for hers, since it fit her inner walls like a key through a lock. He managed to fill every part of it and she was trying to hold out from screaming his name out loud, so not to awake his neighbors, but after a while, her mind just lost control completely and she gave up to pure ecstasy and screamed his name in pure lust. Oh, yes, keep going, Naruto-kun, it's just so damn good. Oh my god, my Heim, I can't control myself. Me neither, Naruto-kun, me neither, oh my god. After 10 minutes of hard loving, Naruto couldn't hold any more as he was trembling all over the place along with his partner and she was in the same situation as him. They had the same thought in their heads. If we come together, it will be the best we ever had indeed. About a minute after, their dream came true. Oh my god, Kurenai Heim, I can't take it anymore, I'm coming, I love you so much. I'm coming too, Naruto-kun, oh my god, this is perfect. It really is. After, they were lying together, with Naruto facing the ceiling and Kurenai's head at his chest, panting like crazy for the love-making. She was enjoying his chest like it belonged to her all this time. Her head was comfortable on top of his chest and she cherished the position they were in. It was warm, comfortable, it was right. After a while, turned to ask her lover about ANBU, as in wanting to understand a little more about her lover's ninja career. So, tell me Naruto-kun, how is ANBU? Oh, it's intense. Intense. Yeah, once you got inside ANBU HQ, either are you training to death or you're doing missions to death. They give me sleeping periods occasionally, but sometimes I have to stay up 2 nights in a row, because of a mission. I came to cherish the moments that I can sleep, but I enjoy being of service to Konoha, since everything ANBU does is be of service to Konoha. I have to admit, though, being ANBU isn't easy. Of course it's not easy, Naruto-kun, but since you're a stamina freak, Impossible for normal people is difficult for you. I like that, Kurenai-chan. So how is your team getting along? They are fine. Kiba is still a little bit frightened about your killing intent the other day. Hinata and Shino already know who is the black-masked ANBU. They'll be taking the Junin exams next year. You're still a Chunin, aren't you, Naruto-kun? Still a Chunin. How thoughtful of you, Kurenai-chan. It hurts when you say it like that, you know, said Naruto, earning some giggle from his girlfriend. Sorry about that, Naru-kun, but even if you're ANBU, you have to take the test to upgrade to Junin. Since I'm ANBU at the moment, my upgrade test is going to be much tougher than a regular test. You see, in my case, the score is to be stealthiest and deadly as possible. Depending on my abilities, they will UPR grade my rank as Junin ANBU. That doesn't sound too hard. How will the test be? Well, I don't know how this year is going to be. I knew the last one because I was able to witness being held. The Junin hopeful pass through a vent at the ceiling and has to suppress his chakra so not to alert the chakra signature seals placed near the vent. Once inside, you have to knock 2 enemy ninjas that are guarding the vent without them even knowing you're there. Once taken the 2, the ninja have to dispose of the bodies, so not to alarm one enemy that circulate around the premises. Now, this one you'll have to pass by, leaving him clueless but not take him down. Once the ninja passed him, he have to get to the lower levels without even a noise, since there was noise-sensitive seals on the walls, and if your breathing is heavy enough, you're dead. Once you got to the lower level, your target is in the middle of a fake house, being guarded by more powerful and experienced shinobis. Since it would be pointless to just face them, you'll have to get inside the house, without being noticed by the guards. If you manage to get inside, without being noticed, you're as good as a normal Junin, but for ANBU standards, you'll have to eliminate the target. Now the target will be apparently alone inside the room, but there will be traps inside. Now that's the tricky part. The last one, they were 2 enhanced henge undercover ANBUs just waiting for you to enter, so that they could dispose of the intruder. The Chunin was negligent and didn't notice his surroundings, so he was caught by the ANBUs, failing his exam, Naruto explained as Kurenai was without a breath and her jaw was down to the floor. I can see now why ANBU are tough. This test is no ordinary test. I wondered if I could get past it. And you can forget Genjutsu, because any chakra usage will be alerted by the seals. Only inside the house, you can use just a little. The purpose of the test is to see if you can do the job, without relying on shinobi abilities. It's one hell of a test. I'm looking forward for mine to be held. Mine will be next month. You see, for an ANBU to be able to do this test, there are a few rules. First, you have to complete a considerable number of silent assassination missions and document retrieval ones. Then you'll have to be able to beat a higher ranked official in a battle or at least have a battle draw. Since my battle with Hawk, an extremely powerful ANBU and a good friend of mine, the ANBU chief thought I was ready for the Junin test, so he listed my name for the next one. That's great, Naruto-kun, you'll be a Junin. Ah, I was wondering, Naruto-kun, ever since you told about the exam, I was curious about. You would like to attend to my test, Kurenai-chan? Yes, may I? I know that ANBU are secretive about everything, but since I'm a Junin as well, I think I can grant access to the test, now wouldn't I? I would love to see you in action, Naruto-kun, said Kurenai, suddenly ashamed when Naruto started to laugh a little bit. Why are you laughing, Naruto-kun? Stop it. I'm sorry, Kur-chan. You don't need to ask for permission. Every Junin in Konoha will watch the exam. Oh, so do you think this exam will be the same as last year's? In essence, yeah, but the details will be tougher this time. They saw my record missions and thought that a standard ANBU test wouldn't be enough to test my skills. Once back in ANBU HQ, my squad was playing a little game of hide and seek. I know, pretty childish, but the arena was full of rocks and places to hide and the light wasn't much of helping me finding them. Since my new stealth ability of hiding myself from eyesight, I did some clones and each of them found my squad, scaring the shit out of them. It was funny as hell. Now, about this ability of yours. How does it work? This ability I learned from my partner Ace. The wolves has a technique that they can focus their chakra on their shadows and they start to exhale an aura that shows like their colors mixed with the night, hiding their shape so that anybody can see them. I did the same thing. I suppose this is an assassination technique, Then. Yes it is, but can only be done at night. I see. Naruto-kun, I'm getting pretty tired, let's go to bed, so we can rest a bit. When Naruto nodded, he lifted from the couch and carried Kurenai's body like a princess to his bed. It was safe to say that she was already asleep on his arms, seeing that they were comfortable. Then Naruto lied down on the bed and they returned to their sleeping position, as both of them were feeling better about themselves, just by sleeping together. Next day, lemon sequence. Cut. In the morning, Naruto got out of bed earlier than Kurenai, since he didn't need lots of hours to sleep and started making breakfast for her. Naruto, even though a highly skilled military ninja, treated his girlfriend with most care, bringing her breakfast in bed, while kissing her on the lips for her to wake up. She was having one hell of a dream with her lover. They were lying on the park, just seeing the transparent blue water river in front of them and Kurenai having trouble figuring if Naruto's eyes were even more beautiful than the water itself, when suddenly Naruto kissed her passionately on the lips. She was in heaven. When the smell of eggs and bacon passed through her, she slowly opened her eyes and saw her lover there sitting alongside her with a small table on top of the bed, showing a lovely breakfast buffet with eggs, bacon, cinnamon breads, some juice in the coffee and milk. Naruto-kun, you didn't have to do this, all of this smells good, and did you make this? After a nod, she was marveled at the abilities that her boyfriend had. Glad you like it, Kurheim, I made everything you like for breakfast. Thanks again, Naru-kun, everything is delicious. After some breakfast, the two of them went for a walk at Konoha streets. The shops were beginning to open and the people were starting to appear at the streets, because of the fact that Naruto is now a ANBU, everyone thought the demon brat died or went nuke nin. They kept looking at the new couple holding hands and were marveled at the scene. They saw that Naruto and Kurenai were perfect for each other. He was a little taller than her, so she was holding her arms, leaning her head on his shoulder, much to Naruto's amusement. Tsunade was passing along, heading for the administration building when she saw it. She saw Kurenai hugging the arms of a tall blonde guy with deep blue eyes with whisker marks on his face. Wait, whisker marks. Is that Naruto? My god, he looks like his father so much. I haven't seen his face in a long time and now he's all grown up and with beautiful and experienced looks. God, if I were half my age, I would want some of that piece of meat, what I'm thinking. It's Naruto for cry out loud and it seems that Kurenai already nailed him, they look so great together. You can't even see the age difference, you're really something Naruto. After a while, Naruto noticed one of his comrades hiding inside the alley and informed him that he is to present to ANBU HQ in 2 hours for a meeting with Hawk. After he nodded for the shadow, she disappeared. Once they returned Naruto's home, they began to talk. Ah, Naruto-kun, I'm really glad we got back together. I'm glad as well, Red Rose, I missed you a lot. I missed you too, oh my god, I am late, I promised my team I would arrive a little early for some practice. It's okay, I have to go to ANBU HQ as well, I would like to take you to dinner tomorrow, Kurenai-chan, how does that sound? Of course I accept, Naru-kun, in case neither of us has a mission, pick me up tomorrow at 9 at my place. It's settled, then, and choose the place you want to go, okay. Okay, then, see you Naru-kun. See you Kurenai-chan, love you. Love you. After their goodbyes, they got separated and went for their duties, when suddenly both of them turned and looked at each other, smiling at each other, showing that their future will be as bright as ever. Asuma was seen in a bar pouring sake after sake inside his mouth like a madman. He couldn't believe for 1 second that the Kyuubi brat took Kurenai away from him. He is only 16, goddammit, I'm her age and a bloody Junin, I started fighting before that brat was even born. What he has that I don't have. All of these thoughts passed through the bearded shinobi as he continued to pour sake. Meanwhile, Kakashi entered the bar in search for at least a thing to do, since the ones he know, namely Uzumaki Naruto, Azuki Yugo, Yamato, Enko, were either in ANBU duty or torturing someone for gaining information and well Kakashi didn't want to hear about fire of youth speeches from his rival. He studied the bar for a while, seeing a few Chunin celebrating the outgoing of their mission to Iowa where they managed to disband an entire army of bandits away. Then Kakashi spotted Asuma near the bartender asking to serve him more sake, which Kakashi figured it was maybe the 10th round, since he could practically smell the alcohol coming out of Asuma. "Hello Asuma, what you up to?" asked Kakashi, before ducking one of Asuma's trench knives that passed on top of his head and hit a bottle on the other side of the bar. "Beat it, Kakashi, I don't want to talk about it," mumbled Asuma, showing a behavior typical of a pure macho, but inside he was fuming with rage, but the scarecrow was tough to convince. "Normally, I would leave, knowing that it would be too troublesome to hear it. Kakashi is lazy as well as Shikamaru, but since I don't have anything to do, I figure a little talk would be nice, seeing that I may know what you're so down about," said Kakashi, already reading his orange book much to Asuma's dismay and sigh. "It's your damn student, that Kyuubi brat," said Asuma, applying a strong grip on his cup, not able to break it but to show how angry he was just for Kakashi to sigh since he already foreseen such behavior from the bearded friend. Normally, Kakashi wouldn't even care about this, but since the reason of the guy's madness involved Naruto, he was going to try and ease the guy if things would go worse and he decides to attack Naruto physically. "What about him? Oh, you mean his relationship with Kurenai-san?" said Kakashi, again evading the other trench knife. "Yes. What the hell did he do to her to brainwash her? I mean, I can't come with a reason for Kurenai to want to be with Uzumaki." "Well, he saved her life once when Kurenai went to a mission to Iowa to gather information. She was attacked by 2 Iowa ANBUs and Naruto took them down and saved her. After that, they stayed with each other until her mission was to be reported to Tsunade-sama. I guess then they kind of felt something for one another. I don't know," related Kakashi, seeing Asuma's expression changing a little bit, but still wasn't enough. "So, only because he saved her, does that mean that she has to be with him? That's ludicrous, Kakashi. It's not some regular kunoichi who fell in love with her savior. Kurenai is a Junin, for Christ's sake, she was a Junin by the time he was a genin," scowled Asuma in a way that it looked like he was exhaling smoke through his nostrils quite like a bull. "True, but I don't think that Kurenai, aka the Ice Queen of Konoha, would melt for someone who just saved her from danger. But I don't know what happened between them after he saved her and her team, but I assume that was more to it than just her appreciation to Naruto for saving her," said Kakashi, knowing that Asuma would see what he was going to talk after that, without actually needing to. "I guess," said Asuma, now demonstrating the real emotion he was feeling, lack of pride. Asuma was a veteran warrior, so it was safe to say that his pride went to the roof, after staying alive while enduring most battles. "Huh, I bet that kid didn't see near as much as I did." Right now, Asuma was smirking, but to Kakashi he felt what the intention was, since Kakashi had the ability of reading everyone like an open book, well except Naruto, to whom he quitted trying to figure him out since they were Junin and Genin. "If you're thinking, Asuma, that Naruto isn't as tough as you or as experienced as you in battle, you're quite wrong. I believe, Asuma, that a little word about Naruto is in order here, if you want to hear." Kakashi took the silent as an authorization for him to start talking. "Apart from keeping the Kyuubi trapped inside his body, which I believe that itself it's a feat to be remembered, but he also had to take all Konoha's pain and loss from the Kyuubi battle only to him for his own life. All his life he was hated for something he didn't do or ask to bear. So, on his 10th birthday, when he was running away from a mob of villagers and chunins, he ended up falling and was beat quite a lot. For no reason at all, he started to smile at the mob of villagers. Naruto was covered in blood all over his body, but he just offered the crowd one of the sweetest kid smiles I've ever seen, hoping that they would let him go, and surprisingly it worked. I know that because I was the one who took him to the hospital on that day." Since then, Naruto kept his smile mask as a way to divert attention from what he carries inside him, hoping that the crowd would just let go. When Naruto left for a training trip with Jiraiya-sama, he took off his mask and started crying for a whole month, from so much bottled emotions inside of him. When he arrived, everyone that knew him could see that something was supposedly wrong with him, because of his new face of determination and seriousness way beyond his age experience. After some time, when he managed to capture Sasuke and got him back, I don't know if you believe or not, but the council wanted to strip Naruto from his ninja rank, since they thought that Naruto wanted to kill Sasuke, said Kakashi, seeing the wide-eyed expression on Asuma, who happened not to know about that. Asuma never stopped to see the mystery that was the Uzumaki Naruto. If what Kakashi said was true, then Naruto did have a tough life growing up. Asuma's pride was clouding his judgment on the boy, and he was surprised to see that even though how much he's done to Konoha, nobody recognizes him as the village's savior. Asuma was fuming at what he could shiver at the life of deception and treason that the blonde endured, and even though he rescued the last Uchiha, the council used it as an excuse to frame him and kill him. Asuma interrupted his thoughts as Kakashi cleared his throat and began talking again. Because of such deception through his life, Naruto used the Hokage dream as also one kind of mask, so everyone would question his dream and he would prove them wrong. Naruto became ANBU after returning with Sasuke, with a simple wish. Protect Konoha behind the curtains. He want to aid Konoha, not at all caring about names or legends, and that's saying much from who his father was, said Kakashi, earning a sad smile from Asuma, while remembering about the Sandaime Hokage and himself growing wanting to be acknowledged in life, and Naruto was all alone in life. Kakashi, listen, I know that the kid had a tough life and I didn't know about the whole Sasuke thing, but the thing is, even though Kurenai and I dated, I could always see confusion and sadness through her eyes, and I thought I could change that for her. But now that I knew why she was like that, it was because of Naruto, and it pains me to see that Naruto was the one to help her, whispered Asuma, now feeling jealous at the blonde for being the one who was there for the red-eyed beauty. That's Naruto for you, Asuma. No matter what he does or how he does, he always ends help change everyone's heart for the better. Even though he no longer is the same as before, he managed to help people. I heard from Jiraiya about Naruto's training trip as he helped a group of little orphans in Kuma when he took his Chunin exams there. He is no longer a boy, he is a man. A man who embraced his destiny, a man who embraced his burden, a man who shall protect Konoha with everything he had, said Kakashi, finishing the short version of Naruto's life until now, to which Asuma calmed down and decided to go to sleep. I think I'll leave now, Kakashi, a little sleep may calm my nerves, said Asuma, leaving without wanting to hear Kakashi even if he wanted to say anything. On the next day, Asuma got out of his apartment and went to his team's training ground. When he felt a strong presence coming near him in a blur, focusing more chakra, he was able to spot the one foe he was looking forward to settle some accounts with. Upon making his decision, Asuma started to follow him in order to confront him. Asuma's pride was getting in the way of rationality once again, even if did remember Kakashi's little story about the blonde. He only considered Kurenai a trophy or an instrument of conquer now, and his warrior side would as hell win the trophy. Suddenly, Naruto just stopped on the next building and watched Asuma passing by him in a quick blur. When Asuma realized what happened, Naruto was waiting for him on top of the building he stopped before. Asuma was pissed, he was lost in wonderings, and his opponent figured it out sooner than expected. Asuma wanted to go to a place that didn't bring attention so that they could settle some things. When Asuma landed on the building, he turned to stare at Naruto for a bit, studying his reactions. But so far he couldn't see any emotions on the blonde's hidden face, even his eyes were emotionless. Just who is this kid? Not even Itachi had such a motionless face. For a while, Asuma continued to study the blonde's face, but to no avail. It seemed that the one in front of him was a mindless clone, one without feelings, without hot blood running down his veins. Asuma never faced an opponent like this before. Because of Naruto's zero display of emotions, Asuma couldn't tell when he would attack, where or how. Asuma was afraid of such a guy. The possibilities were endless. From Naruto's part, he continued to stare at Asuma with a motionless face. Such face was actually hilarious to the blonde. Whoever the enemy was, they always became hesitant upon seeing him like this. Naruto didn't know what Asuma wanted with him. He sighed knowing that he would reach ANBU HQ early. Even though he still had some time left, he didn't want to waste his time with the bearded Junin. Naruto's instincts were on, and he somehow thought that Asuma wouldn't come all the way here just to say hello. Somehow, Naruto figured that the Junin was upset about something, and deep inside his guts, he knew what it was, since he thought of the possibility of doing the same thing to Asuma in a desperate way to win Kurenai's heart. But back then what stopped him was the fact that Kurenai appeared to be happy with Asuma, so he threw the idea off the window. Now, Naruto was looking up to what could be him if Kurenai hadn't appeared near the lake that day. Back to Asuma, his attempts of studying reactions were almost over, when he saw the blue eyes of his opponent appear, letting Asuma know that the ANBU wasn't insane or lost his mind while serving with ANBU. So he decided that to have a little conversation with the teenager, show who's the grown-up here. Oh, so wrong he would be after it, but now he was overconfident. So, Black Wolf, what's with the hurry? Said Asuma, leading the conversation. Late for work, you know how it is, answered Naruto, not saying what Asuma wanted, like showing some guts to the bearded shinobi or trying to attack. No, Asuma very well expected that an ANBU wouldn't fall for treat talks. Huh, I do. Actually sounding like a man, but still you has to take off the diapers, kid, said Asuma, smirking from putting the ANBU down like he would berate Shikamaru or Choji, being these two his students, but such attempt was to no avail. It's never wise to underestimate anyone, Asuma-san, so why don't you cut the crap and tell me why you were following me in the first place? Said Naruto, keeping his cool, actually sounding like Kakashi's coolness, who by the way was watching Asuma and Naruto's little confrontation, since he knew that Asuma wouldn't let go. Kakashi was right about following Asuma to see if he would like to settle things with his ex-student. He already went on a couple of missions with Asuma and he already figured Asuma as a pride general, never admitting his defeat towards the enemy. Now Asuma is facing the most unpredictable opponent in Konoha, Uzumaki Naruto. None even Kakashi could see what Naruto's all-out mean, since when Naruto was a genin, he wore that stupid emotional mask, hindering his actual skills, and Kakashi knew that Naruto's test to get in ANBU was only a percentage of his abilities. But he wasn't concerned with the outcome of Asuma and Naruto's battle, since these two were the strongest wind users in Konoha, well they are the only wind user in Konoha. Back to the little argument, Asuma was getting quite irritated with the blonde opponent, his little psychological threat was not working on the supposed inexperienced ANBU. Quite on the contrary, Naruto remained stoic as ever, since he decided not to waste his brain on empty threats of a fellow shinobi, much to Asuma's light anger and Kakashi's smirk, since he figured ANBU training actually does that to people. So, quite tough you are, Black Wolf, or should I say Uzumaki Naruto, said Asuma, as a last resort. He knew that ANBU were picky on hiding their identities, since they were in theory dangerous to foreign shinobi and could be an extreme liability if the enemy knew the ANBU's identity. Upon hearing this, Kakashi closed his book and slapped his hand at his headband, cursing Asuma's ridiculous plot. If it were him, he would be sent to Ibiki for questioning, since that was ANBU protocol and he was afraid Naruto would do just that. But upon seeing the ANBU's reaction, Kakashi was relieved a little bit. Naruto wouldn't do anything, that much was certain. Well, at least if Asuma doesn't attack him there is. Asuma-san, you said you are a grown-up, yeah, a Junin, but with that ridiculously stupid attempt of yours to make me angry just shows how ill-equipped you are to handle a real life-threatening situation. Frankly, I would say that a regular Chunin could have a better result than you did, don't you think? That did it. To say that Asuma was angry would be an understatement, he was very pissed. Who the hell does this midget thinks he is? I'll show him. Ah, Naruto, now you pissed him off. Now let's see if you have the abilities to back your words, said Kakashi, already with his Sharingan active in preparation to see the fight. With chakra-enhanced feet, Asuma vanished and appeared in front of the ANBU with the intent to strike him, but to no avail since Naruto already shunshined out of the way before Asuma could swing his wind-enhanced trench knife. When Asuma turned his back, he saw the ANBU staring at him with sad eyes, much to the surprise of Asuma and Kakashi. Tears were dropping on the black mask as if suddenly the weight of being in ANBU suddenly got a hold into his sanity. Is that sadness I see in your eyes, Black Wolf? Asked Asuma in confusion. Yes, it is. Sadness because the fact that I know the reason why you're doing this. It's about Kurenai-chan, isn't it? Asked Naruto, to which Asuma was taken aback by it. Naruto was sad with such display of emotion and Kakashi sighed, knowing why Naruto was crying. Since Naruto returned from retrieving Sasuke, Kakashi figured Naruto would threat the bearded shinobi, quite like he was threatening Naruto right now, and the thought of doing something like this actually disgusted Naruto. To think that Kurenai was a trophy to be won after a battle was disgusting, and he would damn well show that to Asuma. Asuma, if you think that Kurenai-chan is just a prize for you to win after the battle, I can already tell you, I lost all respect for you, said Naruto, now showing his signature feral grin that managed to stop Asuma from trying anything to Naruto. Naruto was showing a mix between sadness and anger, because of the Junin's actions. If you wanted to fight with me as a way of testing your skills, trust me, I would be glad to spar with you, Asuma, but seeing that all you care about Kurenai-chan, as a goddamn trophy for you to win in case you even win this battle, I can tell in advance, you already lost it. You see, when I arrived from my training trip with Jiraiya-sama, I was devastated upon seeing you with her, but then I figured she was happy, so I thought that you were a great shinobi that would be able to offer her protection and love, but seeing that all you wanted was to hold her as a trophy, I can say with all certainty, you stink as a human being, said Naruto, now with his feral grin at maximum, not only making Asuma shiver but also Kakashi was not feeling so well, since he didn't remember seeing that much killing intent in a long time. That's lot of bold words, kid, face me then and show me that I'm wrong, said Asuma, getting free from Naruto's killing intent as well as throwing one of his knives with Kei's chakra at Naruto. Upon seeing the knife approaching, Naruto took off his katana and cut the knife in half with his Kei's katana with an extreme swiping motion. Asuma, with a backup plan, raced at Naruto with his other knife, using Naruto's momentarily time dealing with the first knife and put the other on Naruto's neck, thinking he won the battle. Yield, kid, I won, said Asuma, smirking, never taking the time to notice that Naruto was with his free hands, holding a Fuden Rasengan inches from Asuma's stomach. If I were you, Asuma-san, I would not say something like that and instead look down for a bit, said Naruto, leaving a confused Asuma and a wide-eyed Kakashi who only managed to see Naruto's Rasengan because of the Sharingan. What? Look, do, it was all Asuma could say, before he looked down to see the spiral ball surrounded by Kei's chakra inches from his stomach, which would kill him instantly. Upon seeing this, Asuma turned to see Naruto's eyes and gasped with fear. Those were the eyes that made Naruto famous around Konoha as well as the enemies that survived his encounter. Asuma-san, I don't want you to be mad at me, for as I didn't do anything to deserve such a thing. As to Kurenai-chan, she is no trophy to be won after a battle. I love her deep down my heart and she chose the one to whom her heart belonged. Hell, when I arrived, I figured that she would choose you, seeing that you're together, and I would never mess with that, since I know that the heart of someone isn't won by competition, said Naruto, now showing his blue eyes but never dropping the Rasengan until Asuma surrendered. It's hard for me to lose again, kid. But I can see that you're much stronger than me. At first, it was about Kurenai, but now I wanted to see just how strong you are, and I can see you grown a lot. I'm very sorry, Naruto, about what I did. Kakashi did tell awfully a lot of nice things about you. I guess I never got to know you like everybody else did. Don't worry about this fool before your eyes. Now, I want to see the face of my opponent, if you would grant me this wish, said Asuma, now feeling like a heavy burden just came out, and he, like everyone that Naruto came to encounter, was invigorated. Upon hearing the bearded shinobi's request, Naruto nodded and took off his mask, showing his features to the bearded shinobi, much to Asuma's utter shock. Naruto was literally Minato's clone, and he showed the eyes of an experienced warrior, one that Konoha is and will be very proud of the once hyperactive knucklehead ninja Uzumaki Naruto. I can see that you're strong, Naruto, and don't worry about me anymore. I'm not going to disturb you anymore with this issue, said Asuma, already turning to leave but stopped when Naruto spoke. Asuma-san, as I said before, if you want to fight as a way of testing your skills, I'll be glad and honored to, said Naruto with his foxy grin. Huh, don't get kid, just because you won this fight, doesn't mean you'll win the next round. I'll be waiting for it then, Asuma-san, said Naruto, before putting back his mask and leaving to ANBU HQ. Meanwhile, Kakashi couldn't be more proud of his student. Not only Naruto beat Asuma by performing one of the quickest Rasengans Kakashi has ever seen, but managed to take Asuma off his thoughts as Konoha's stuck-up general who never lost a fight. Kakashi turned to read his book again, when suddenly he addressed to another audience that was watching as well. You were watching as well, Yugo-san, said Kakashi, never turning to see the cat ANBU. Kakashi-senpai, Hawk told me to go look for Black Wolf, so I came to look for him and found him here. I can see now what Kurenai-chan saw in him. He has a little bit of everything. Now that I finally saw what Black Wolf looks like, I can say that Kurenai-chan is very lucky to have a guy like Uzumaki Naruto. Said Cat, earning wide eyes by Kakashi, but then a mischievous smile was noticeable. Jealous, aren't you, Yugo-san? Just what would Hayate say if he knew about it? Teased Kakashi a little bit, earning a little blush of embarrassment from the cat-masked ANBU. Don't speak nonsense, senpai. I love Hayate, but I can see why Kurenai likes Naruto so much, and I can say that they are perfect for each other. Well, senpai, I have to go back to HQ. Black Wolf must be there already and Hawk-san must be looking for me, said Cat, almost leaving. Right. Say hi to Hawk for me, would you? Also, I heard that Hawk and Black Wolf made a little rivalry in ANBU, is that right? Actually, it is. Naruto and Hawk are very good friends and equally strong. When they train together, the windows in ANBU HQ always shatter and they vanish before taking responsibility for the damage. The chief knows that, but he chose to stay silent, figuring that's how the strongest ANBU in the force trains, said Cat, sending an audible laugh at Kakashi, who laughed as well, upon remembering Hawk when he was ANBU captain. Okay, see you, Yugo-san. After that, Kakashi went to reading his book in private, while Yugo was racing towards the ANBU HQ, trying to beat Black Wolf there, but set it aside, figuring he would be already there, seeing that he left about 10 minutes ago. While rushing through the buildings, Yugo was remembering what Black Wolf looked like without the mask, and she had to admit that the blonde was indeed good-looking, very experienced, and an actual splitting image of the deceased Yondaime Hokage. Thinking now about Kakashi's little comment, Yugo couldn't help but feel ashamed in her head about thinking of betraying Hayate like that. No, Naruto is Kurenai's boyfriend, Naruto and Kurenai, damn it, such perverted thoughts again, what's wrong with me? Ever since Kurenai told me how they got together, I couldn't help but imagine the scene every time on my head. She was losing her mind so much that she didn't even notice that she was already inside ANBU HQ when she lifted her head and saw the one that was passing through her mind constantly, Black Wolf. Now seeing Naruto with his mask on, she was relieved. She was afraid of seeing him and start imagining him and Kurenai together and get in the way of their squad's missions together. Now, Black Wolf and Cat were in the same squad, along with Bear and Hawk as the squad leader. But since Naruto was a Chunin, he would have to take the ANBU Junin exams shortly, not that he wasn't already elite Junin level, this was just pure formalities. Upon seeing Cat arrive in Wonderings, Hawk only sighed, since he sent her to see if Black Wolf was alright, but just when she left, Black Wolf arrived and ironically it was now Cat that was late. Cat, where were you? Black Wolf has arrived 10 minutes ago, said Hawk in a chief sort of speaking. Sorry sir, I bumped into Kakashi-senpai and we ended up talking about some aspects. I lost the flow of time, it won't happen again, Hawk Taicho, said Cat, with an army salute manner, grasping in fear of knowing that Black Wolf was staring at her suspiciously. At ease, Cat. All right, Squad 3, wait right here. I'm going to assess the chief for a mission for us. With that said, Hawk vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving Bear to stare at nothing with his arms crossed and Black Wolf to turn and approach Cat, much to her dismay, since she didn't want to talk to him when she was getting perverted images. So, Cat, my suspicions were correct. It was in fact you there with Kakashi-sensei on that tree, looking at me and Asuma-san, said Black Wolf, earning a little shock coming from Yugo. How did you know it was me with Kakashi-senpai? Said Yugo, taken aback at the accurate sense of awareness displayed by her teammate. At first I didn't. I was only able to hear someone whispering somewhere, so I channeled chakra through my ear and managed to hear you and Kakashi-sensei's voice. Now, tell me, what were you doing there? Said Black Wolf, wanting to know the motive behind the little stalking from the cat-masked ANBU. Hawk Taicho asked me to see what happened to you, figuring you're always the first one to arrive at ANBU HQ, that's all, Black Wolf-san, said Yugo in a polite manner, since she hadn't met him personally. Oh, I apologize about the interrogatory part, Cat-san, I guess I was just curious, that's all, said Naruto, not wanting to press the matter further, but he knew that his teammate saw his face and he was again curious as to why she didn't say anything but let it slide. It's alright. Tell me, Black Wolf, if you don't mind me asking, why don't you take off your mask inside the ANBU HQ? Your identity wouldn't be harmed in any way, right? Asked Yugo, to which Naruto lowered his head, since he didn't have such a luxury. Quite the contrary, Kat-san. I'm sure you saw my face back there and I'm well sure you know of what I carry inside of me. Another point is that fellow ANBUs lost a lot of their families because of it. What would you think they would do if they found out who I am? Said Naruto, surprisingly, demonstrating zero emotion upon his usually sad statement. You think people still judge you for it? Said Yugo, taken aback by what the black-masked ANBU said about still being guilty by what happened almost 2 decades ago. It would be foolish not to think so, when you spent your whole life being looked down upon by almost everyone in the village, including some shinobis as well, Kat-san. Because of that, I only take off my mask when I'm guaranteed not to run into someone that doesn't judge me because of it. It maybe sound as a pursuit complex, as I'm sure you must think about me like that. But I got plenty of reasons not so show myself the same way as the others do, said Naruto, as he turned his back at Yugo, since he sensed Hawk returning from the chief's office. Well, at least our squad should know about this, don't they? Hawk is my best friend here in ANBU and Bear was the one that made my assignment interview, so he knows as well. With you now seeing it, all the squad knows about it. Well, okay then, sighed Yugo in defeat. After a while, Hawk arrived with an A-ranked mission scroll that happened to be an investigation mission for tonight. It seemed that around the south region of Konoha, there have been strange reports of an old mansion being cursed, since the ones who entered, never got out, so the Hokage thought best and sent Squad 3 to go check it out. Upon arrival inside the house, Bear suddenly felt a chill ran up his spine, when seeing what was inside the house. Inside, they were core lying on the ground motionless, bleeding all over the place. Squad 3 surveyed the area up to a place when Hawk's eyes came in contact with a mirror that somehow was reflecting a different image of their surroundings. As anyone would have guessed, Hawk thought that was a genjutsu casted all around the place by some ninja who wanted to scare everyone. With Black Wolf and Ace, the wolf was sniffing around. Black Wolf and Ace, just like Hawk, were suspicious of a genjutsu, but this genjutsu was somehow different from a normal one. Ace could very well sense a huge amount of chakra being used and he concluded that not even Naruto had that amount of chakra, who could only be a summon animal or even a demon. Black Wolf, can you sense the amount of chakra being used here? It's like someone wasn't eager to have visitors at all, said Ace, to which Naruto retorted. I can sense the presence, but not the amount of chakra being used like you, Ace, but somehow it looks like in order to dispel the genjutsu here, the dispel technique would have a similar amount of chakra in order to fully cancel it, and we can see who or what's causing this, said Naruto as he was reading the drawings on the wall and thinking. After some time, Squad 3 surveyed the second and last floor of the mansion, coming near a rather big scroll displayed inside on the master rooms of the mansion. When Kat did her last step, a huge roar could be heard and the squad knew it came from the scroll. What are the chances of this contract being a summon contract and the boss animal just doesn't want any visitors? I once read the story about the wolf boss directly before Fenrir-sama saying that he as well didn't want any visitors, so he hid the contract inside a cave and protected it with his life, until Fenrir-sama came and took his place as wolf boss, explained Ace. Well, in that case, all we have to do is to burn the scroll and release this stupid mass genjutsu, said Black Wolf. Step aside, Bear and Cat. Black Wolf, joint attack number 1, Kaden Fuden combination. Right on it, Hawk Taicho, said Naruto with enthusiasm as he was once again working with alongside his friend and rival. Fuden Daitapa, Wind Style, Great Breakthrough Jutsu. Kaden Guyakyu no Jutsu, Fire Style, Great Fireball Jutsu. What could be described as a loud explosion, it was heard from Hawk's fireball in conjunction to Black Wolf's gust of wind, making the fireball grow in size and power. The results were visible and a huge hole behind the scroll could be seen, turning the scroll to ashes. Upon seeing that, Tsunade, while walking beside the haunted mission to see if the ANBU squad would solve the problem, suddenly saw the huge hole on the top and Squad 3 appearing. She sighed, thinking that they went a little bit overboard but at least managed to solve the problem, completing the assignment. After seeing the Hokage staring at them, the ANBU team jumped and kneeled in front of her, letting her know that the mission was complete. Upon seeing Black Wolf's mask, she smiled and greeted the team for a job well done. "So Hawk-san, good job on the mission, but couldn't your team be a little less noisy? I believe the entire city heard the explosion created," said Tsunade, rubbing her head, wanting to send the bill for them to pay, again. Since Naruto entered the ANBU, there has been numerous requests for window repairs from inside ANBU HQ, and somehow she figured that Naruto would have a part in it, while training. "Our apologies, Hokage-sama, it's just that Black Wolf and I used our combination in order to eliminate the threat as soon as possible. Actually, the summon contract held a giant lizard that just got in our way and we had to destroy it," said Hawk. "I'm sorry, but I heard you say that you and Black Wolf used your combination. What's up with that?" asked Tsunade, intrigued, cause she never heard of ANBUs and combinated ninjutsu attacks. "Certainly, Hokage-sama. Black Wolf and I have been coming with combined attacks in order to maximize the power of our jutsus. For instance, what you witnessed was a mix of mine Kaden Goyaku no Jutsu and Black Wolf's Fuden Daitapa. Together, the gust of wind literally doubled the fireball, and the results, well, you witnessed firsthand." "I certainly did, so is half of Konoha." "Well, good job, congratulations. Now dismissed," said Tsunade, before seeing different kinds of shunshin performed by the members of the team. Hawk did the Ho Shunshin no Jutsu, fire style. Body flicker jutsu. Black Wolf did the Fuden Shunshin no Jutsu. Cat made a regular shunshin, and Bear used the Doden Shunshin no Jutsu, earth style. Body flicker jutsu. Tsunade walked then to her home to rest. She thought about how Naruto's ANBU team handled their missions and considered a little commendation was in order for them. Since Kakashi and Itachi's team, no other team was so successful in missions, and she was proud of the fact that Naruto belonged to that team, and not only that but also the fact that he and Hawk could destroy an entire army with their combined jutsus. "I can see why Kurenai had fallen for you, Naruto. You are quite a guy indeed. Oh, if I was younger," sighed Tsunade, actually started to become jealous of the Genjutsu mistress. After Naruto settled his way with Asuma, he was flying to the ANBU HQ in record time, and Ace had just reached up to him. At the Uchiha compound, Sasuke was cursing his luck. It has been a year since Naruto almost killed him with his wind shuriken jutsu, and he still had scars around his chest. Sasuke was pissed by the fact that Naruto beat him, even though he was on his curse seal level 2. He was remembering that little chopper jutsu of Naruto's, dragging him to the center of the slicing tornado, and he couldn't move. When Naruto landed the strike, he was cut so badly, he thought he was going to die, but something was not right with the Naruto he thought. He couldn't see the Deadliest, the always smiling person, it was like someone else. 1 week after he was saved by Tsunade, Sakura wanted to punish Naruto for trying to kill her Sasuke-kun, and he was angry towards Sakura, because even though Sasuke saw Naruto as his rival, he also saw him as the only one who could understand his pain. He was the only one that could save him from the delusional power of Orochimaru. But Sasuke couldn't find the blonde anywhere. It seemed like he vanished from Konoha. He went to talk to Tsunade about where was Naruto, and all she said is that Naruto was no longer a part of Konoha's normal shinobi program. Tsunade decided not to punish Sasuke in a severe way, even though he didn't come back by his own will. It was Naruto who nearly killed him and brought him back. Sasuke eventually changed to Chunin right after his return, and now was listed with a new team of Chunins under the tutelage of a Junin named Yamashiro Aoba. Tsunade made Sasuke swear on the Uchiha's name that he would no longer run away, and he said to her that since Naruto became so strong, he thought about it and realized that the village could be strong after all. When the answer came, Sasuke was taken aback. "Uchiha, sure, the village raises damn strong shinobis, but Naruto trained on his own to get where he is now. After he discovered his affinities, all he did for a while was going to the library and to the training ground to train until exhaustion appeared." After a while, Sasuke convinced Anko to help him control the curse seal up to the point that he, with the help of a fuinjutsu casted by Kakashi, the only thing he needed to do was keep his emotions in check when in a mission. Nowadays, he was living a normal shinobi life in Konoha, doing some missions and training his Raiden and Kaden affinity. Sakura couldn't leave him alone for more than 10 minutes, and this was starting to piss him off to no end. He never liked her. He still remembered Team 7 and her asking him for a date countless times. Sure, Sasuke intended to revive his clan at all costs, but he should as well find someone who liked him as well as he liked her. Also, it had to be a strong kunoichi. Right now, he was at the Uchiha main garden, just staring at the sky when his Sharingan eyes caught two signatures coming his way really fast. When they passed flying through his yard, all that Sasuke could see was a black masked ANBU and a big wolf with a leaf Hitai-8. Even though the ANBU was blonde, Sasuke dismissed the idea of Naruto entering ANBU, but then again what Tsunade told him would have made sense. Normal shinobi program would be Genins, Chunins and Junins, but ANBU were special, they were a part of military and he couldn't believe that Naruto joined the ANBU. Just how strong had he became and how fast are he now? Sasuke somewhat couldn't figure out how Naruto improved in a short period of time, but little did he know that the Naruto he knew would never appear again, since that one was an emotional mask, in order to call attention to him. Sasuke, due to his pride, couldn't afford to lose to the once dead last Naruto, but something was different between ANBU Naruto and his teammate back when they were Team 7. First, was the fact that his eyes never bothered to look down and notice Sasuke, which would normally enrage him, since he didn't like being ignored. Second was that wolf next to him. Sasuke was wondering if the wolf was Naruto's summon or some sort of partner like Kiba's Akamaru. What happened to you, Dobi? Just who are you and where is that idiot who kept screwing everything up? All these thoughts kept circulating his mind like chakra inside of a Rasengan. Worst was that Sasuke couldn't come up with an answer to these questions. He wanted them answered so to see how he became strong like he did. Sasuke was thinking about to whom he could ask about Naruto when suddenly he remembered about Team 7's sensei, Hitaki Kakashi. Just when he was about to leave the compound, a pink-haired Chunin appeared, being a pain in Sasuke's line of thinking. Hi, Sasuke-kun, want to have lunch with me? Asked Sakura, genuinely oblivious to the fact that Sasuke preferred to be on the end of Itachi's Manjinkyu Tsukiyomi than actually saying yes to a date with her. No, Sakura, I'm busy at the moment. Sasuke just didn't want to talk with her. He was 2 steps of putting some senses into her mind, in a way that she stopped talking to him like wanting to go out with him. He didn't like her. Although Sakura was a persistent woman. Why don't you go out with me, Sasuke-kun? I'm buying, pleaded Sakura, enraging Sasuke to his very soul, but since Anko and Kakashi practically drilled on his head to control his emotions, so he had to cut this short. Sakura, I'm asking you, please, stop pursuing me all over the place. Go find someone else. I can't stand you asking me again, would you? Asked Sasuke, trying to sound as normal as he could, before seeing Sakura look towards the ground in shame and walk away. After that, Sasuke went to search Kakashi. He went to his home, but couldn't find him. He went to the bookstore where his old sensei's perverted mind would normally lead him to, but nothing. After quitting the search, Sasuke caught a glimpse of his old sensei just passing by with Sasuke's new sensei Aoba, and they were gossiping a little bit, remembering old times. Out of the blur, Sasuke in a Chunin outfit appeared, starting a conversation with the 2 Junins. Kakashi, I need to ask you about Naruto. Asked Sasuke, making the lazy Junin divert his look and gauge Sasuke's intention for wanting to hear about Naruto. Ah, Sasuke, what do you want to know about Naruto? Kakashi answered, already suspicious of his old student's intentions. Aoba for his part was pondering on who the hell was this guy Sasuke was talking about. Naruto. Tell me, Sasuke, who is this Naruto? Uzumaki Naruto, Aoba-sensei. Answered Sasuke, shifting his eyes towards his new sensei and then shifted back to his old sensei in search for answers. Why you want to know, Sasuke? Oh, and most important. Why now? Asked Kakashi while trying to see his old student's intentions. I think I saw him flying by my house today with a wolf on his side and he was wearing an ANBU uniform. Tell me what happened to him? Asked Sasuke, not telling the entire truth, since he didn't know that it was Naruto or not. Humph, okay, then, I'll tell about Naruto for the 2 of you, but Sasuke, I assure you that the Naruto you meet wasn't the real one. You see, before he left Konoha in order to train with Jiraiya-sama, his face and attitudes were what you can call an emotional mask, a cover-up of himself. Naruto was alone his entire life and wanted to call some attention to himself. Seeing that no one gave him what he looked for, his mask was taken off and the true one appeared. Now, determined as he is, he vowed to train to exhaustion, in order to grow in the paths of a shinobi and be of service to Konoha and his precious people. I can tell you guys that he is already Junin level according to a friend of mine in ANBU, and I can very well guarantee that his techniques improved to a whole new level. The reason why he joined ANBU, well, no one can answer him other than himself, I'm afraid, said Kakashi, just waiting for them to sink the new information. Sasuke for his part smirked, knowing that he knew about Naruto's mask, but he paid no attention to it, since he wasn't fond of the idea of hiding his abilities. But now that Sasuke was back in Konoha, he would find his way just like the Dobi did. He was thinking among the lines of a hunter nin, since he would have the freedom and be able to revive his clan when the time was right. But he thought now that he knew next to nothing about this new Naruto, since he already knew him with the mask on. So, if you could point some characteristics similar between the old and the new Naruto, what would that be? Asked Sasuke, though Kakashi already tried to ask that question himself but to no avail. I can't do that, since I can't think of any. Now excuse me, guys, but I have some things to take care of. With that said, Kakashi vanished with that smile of his, leaving Aoba and Sasuke, wondering about Naruto's little history. At Team 8's a training ground. Kurenai was jumping from rooftops to rooftops, hoping to arrive not so late, but her thoughts were directed to her beloved blonde. She couldn't stop thinking about the way he looked at her eyes, like he owned everything. In fact, that look of his was what turned her on the most. Kurenai was the submissive kind of woman, so her ideal man would be a dominant type, and so far Naruto's look was enough for her to literally melt on his couch. Kurenai described it as a mix of deep blue with feral yellow eyes, something she never saw before, and it was so damn hot. She was wondering how he could show such purity in his deep blue eyes and then display such feral yellow eyes, just like a night wolf. She felt slight pity for his enemies, but she never felt his killing intent before, not that she wanted to any time soon. Just by remembering his look, made her crumble inside, but she shook it off, in order to arrive at the training ground. She was just hoping to see it again on their date tonight. Oh my god, I hope neither of us has any missions, I'd really like to go out with him again. After 20 minutes late, she arrived at Team 8's training ground, only to see Kiba and Shino doing some spar and Hinata watching the two of them. Gomena say, sorry everyone, I see you guys are already training a little bit, said Kurenai, smiling while scratching her head hoping for an excuse to appear. Kurenai-sensei, you're late, you're never late, asked Kiba, smelling something wrong in the air, which if he were somewhat older or at least had found a girl to be with, couldn't know that Kurenai was in fact releasing some pheromones in anticipation to her date with Naruto. Oh, I met an acquaintance of mine and I lost track of time a little bit, don't worry about it, said Kurenai, hoping to fool her students a little bit. She didn't want them to know that she was slightly aroused at her night with the blonde ANBU. Oh, okay, come on Shino, let's continue, said Kiba, receiving a nod from Shino, who by the way knew about Kurenai's pheromones from his Kikai bugs. Hinata for her part smirked, knowing about Kurenai and the black-masked ANBU, deciding to tease her sensei while also hoping on some story as well. So, Kurenai-sensei, tell me how was it? Asked Hinata, seeing some blush appearing on her face. What do you mean, Hinata? Asked Kurenai, though she couldn't keep off the blushing any longer. Quite the contrary, as she was relieving the images, she had to cast a quick genjutsu to hide her blood-blushed face from everyone who could conclude easily what happened. Kurenai-sensei, I may be young but I know that face expression anywhere, said Hinata, earning a sigh from her sensei. Is it that obvious? You don't need to hide, Kurenai-sensei, it's all right, he grew so much these days that none of us would be able to recognize him anymore. In fact, I believe no one ever knew him, if what you said about his emotional mask the entire time. I bet not even Iruka-sensei and his old teammates knew him, said Hinata, receiving nods from her sensei, who was thinking among the same lines and also thinking about who would know the real him, other than her. Well, Jiraiya-sama got to see the real him on their training trip. Kakashi seemed to know him quite well and his ANBU team seemed to like him as well. According to Yugo-chan, her ANBU captain had taken a liking to Naruto, even up to Hawk as they call him, make a rivalry of Naruto. That's for sure. Okay, enough talk Hinata, let's begin practice. At ANBU headquarters, after the completion of Squad 3's mission, they returned to the ANBU HQ, and Naruto received a communication saying that Tsunade-sama knew about the little explosion on the haunted mansion and wanted him to fulfill another mission. Now thinking about it, Tsunade-sama never called him like that before. Whenever she wanted a mission of his squad, the ANBU chief would call them all together. Maybe it was a solo mission or a co-op mission with a Junin or a Chunin group. Naruto dismissed his thoughts, so not to get disappointed of what Tsunade wanted to say to him, but deep inside he wanted to spend some time with Kurenai, since they were going on a date tonight. At Tsunade's office, Tsunade was discussing some important aspects with the ANBU chief, when Black Wolf shuned to her office, with some breeze to alert them of his presence. Needless to say that the low breeze ended up blowing all the paperwork scattered to the ground, earning grumbles from Tsunade who had Shizune helping her to gather the paperwork and now they had to do it again. The ANBU chief sweat dropped at seeing a vein pop out of Tsunade's face, showing some clear bottled up anger. Was that necessary, Black Wolf? Asked the ANBU chief, watching Tsunade's eyes twitch of slight anger. My apologies, Tsunade-sama, Tenzo-sama, he became the ANBU chief after some time, I just did that so you can be aware of my presence. Forget about it Black Wolf, we have a mission of great importance you'll be performing along with an elite Junin. In fact, she was just contacted 20 minutes ago, so she should be arriving soon. This will be an A-ranked mission. You along with your co-partner will retrieve an S-ranked document made by Jiraiya, the Toad Sanin. This document is a reconnaissance and gathering information on Iwa and its meetings with Kumo. According to his message, he suspects an alliance between these two villages and since we had some mishaps with Kumo the next few days, it's safe to say that this document is of high importance. Now the reason you were called, actually it was two. First, Jiraiya requested your presence and second as there is a high possibility that enemy ninjas would try to put their hands on the document. Any questions? Actually, I have two. Why Yamato is here and what are my partner's abilities? Naruto was never known for extreme formalities and he was not so thrilled to know that he wouldn't be able to go on a date with Kurenai, but mission is a mission, so she would understand, but there wasn't reason for him not to curse his luck at this situation. But before they could answer Black Wolf's question, his partner showed up, reporting for duty. Kurenai was cursing her luck as well as Naruto for having to go on this mission, but little did she know that their date would have to be somewhere else. Actually, Kurenai was to be Black Wolf's partner on this mission and Tsunade was smiling inside. Before we ask these questions, Black Wolf, I like to introduce your partner on this mission. She is an elite Junin, expert in genjutsu and high-level reconnaissance and information gathering missions, Yui Kurenai. Actually Tsunade knew they got back together, so she planned this from the beginning, not Jiraiya wanting Naruto to be on this mission part, but his partner she could fix it. Naruto inside his mask exchanged looks with his lover for a minute, before showing a small grin behind his mask. It seemed that it wouldn't be like he thought it would be and their date was going to happen after all, but it would have to be outside of Konoha's borders and in the middle of a mission. Kurenai was thinking the exact same thing. She was at first cursing Tsunade for ruining her date with Naruto, but now that she was on a mission with him, things would be much better. Now, since Naruto didn't want to show that she was his girlfriend, he decided to introduce himself in a polite and emotionless manner, hoping that she would see the underneath of his tone. Pleasure to meet you, Yui-san, we will be teamed on this mission, Tsunade-sama was just briefing me on it, greeted Naruto, receiving a nod from the Junin. The pleasure is all mine, ANBU-san. Kurenai wasn't Junin for nothing and she was able to see what Naruto intended when he approached to her in a formal manner. As I was saying to Black Wolf here, your mission is to retrieve an S-ranked document from Jiraiya. This map here will pinpoint his location and the rendezvous point. Any communications with you and him will be through Black Wolf here, since he and Jiraiya worked together once and established a secure line of communication with each other. You are to leave in 4 hours from now and are scheduled to arrive at the location at noon tomorrow. As to your questions, Black Wolf, the reason I'm here is to discuss with Tsunade-sama about your Junin test that you'll be qualified to take, after the completion of this mission and your partner's abilities. Well, Tsunade-sama has already briefed you when she arrived, said Tenzo, perching Naruto and Kurenai's interest because of their conversation the previous day. Okay, then, said Naruto as he and Kurenai vanished and appeared on top of the Hokage's tower. It seems that our luck improved, Naru-kun. I was just about to curse the whole world, because of our date, but now I'm going on a mission with the legendary Black Wolf of Konoha, and my boyfriend, said Kurenai, smiling towards the blonde who said among the same lines regarding Kurenai and her Genjutsu mistress title. Then Naruto and Kurenai went each for their apartments for packing. Naruto, being an ANBU, was kind of ready for any type of mission as he packed his stuff inside a storage scroll. Kurenai for her part needed to pack, since she still had a team, even though they were all Chunin level ninja. 3 hours later, both of them met at the Dango shop for a light lunch and then head up for their mission together. At the Dango restaurant, as they entered the restaurant, both of them got to see Anko eating dangos like crazy and pouring sake like a maniac. Upon seeing that, both of them sighed. Kurenai, since she very well knew that Anko could be like that, and Naruto for his part was confirm his suspicions about the snake mistress. Hello, Anko-chan, what are you up to? Asked Kurenai, earning the woman's attention and devious smirking. Hello, Kurenai-ch. Who is your ANBU friend? Said Anko as she was checking the man out head to toe, much to Kurenai's displeasure. Oh, this is Black Wolf, we are going on a mission together. Kurenai winked to Anko, letting her know just who Black Wolf was. Much to Naruto's dismay, he appreciated his identity hidden and he saw that Kurenai's friend Anko was a former ANBU Black Ops of Assassination Squad, therefore her reputation was well known throughout ANBU HQ. Suddenly Naruto's prank side got the best of him and used a seal-less henge, changing his face appearance to test these two. It is nice seeing you again, Anko-san, how have you been? Asked Naruto, keeping as stoic as before. Okay, Black Wolf, let's go to the table on the back, so you can take away your mask and eat with us, said Anko, to which Kurenai was worried for her boyfriend's identity. Anko-chan, I don't think that is wise idea. I began to open her mouth but was stopped by Naruto. Do not worry about my identity, Kurenai-san, let's go. When they arrived at their table, Anko was eager to see Naruto's face, since she wanted to see her friend's lover. When Black Wolf took away his mask, Anko was confused at first. On Kurenai's part, she was studying her lover's complex henge for a bit as well as giving some time for Anko to recognize it. Honey, please drop the henge, I don't think that Anko can see through that double-layered henge, Kurenai said, much to the surprise of her friend. She didn't think Naruto would be so proficient at illusion techniques. He. Kurenai-chan, I should have figured you wouldn't fall for the henge, since you already knew it was me, but I managed to work your knowledge a little bit, didn't I? Said Naruto, dropping the henge and showing his face to Anko. Anko was blushing at his looks like she wasn't in a long time, she haven't seen him in a long time, and his face resembled the face of a man, and a very handsome one, she wondered. From inside, she was cursing Kurenai with all her might, because of the fact that she took him all for herself. Sure, he was only 16, but when Anko saw his eyes, she immediately raised his age to at least 25 to 28. Until now, Anko had been skeptical when Kurenai told her about how his eyes gave him more experience than his actual age, but now she could see why he was known as Konoha's Black Wolf. Those eyes, even though the yellow feral grin wasn't easily noticeable, it was there and she could see it. For Kurenai it came to a surprise that Anko would drool like that for Naruto, but then again he was handsome as hell. She was actually worried that he could get a fangirl club in Konoha and she would receive death glares from them, since she was his girlfriend and everything. Now come to think about it, she was glad that Naruto was an ANBU, since they would wear a mask hiding his face from everyone. Now back to seeing her friend drooling over her boyfriend, a little piece of jealousy rushed her mind and decided to poke her friend a little bit. Anko-chan, would you please stop drooling over my boyfriend? I'm right here, you know. What? Oh, I'm sorry Kurenai-chan, it's just that I didn't expect him to grow this much, That's all. Said Anko, lying out on the open to both of them. She was sizing him up and just appreciating the view of such a man. It's okay, Anko-san, I didn't expect to change this much as well. You see, when I decided to change, I would figure that being an ANBU, I would see many bad things, as I heard from Kakashi-sensei, but eventually I realized that in order to become stronger and more experienced in the battlefield, the mission and my teammates was all that mattered, so I acquired a great deal of experience being an ANBU and talking to Ace. Said Naruto, noticing that Anko didn't stop drooling over him, much to Kurenai's dismay, and Naruto was beginning to think about doing something to prevent an eventual catfight between the two of them. Ah, Naruto, who is Ace? You've never mentioned him to me. Who is he? Kurenai actually had a feeling she knew who Ace was, but she wanted to be sure of it. Ace is my personal summon and partner on missions. Well, he is a scarred black wolf who came from the mountains of Wind Country. Said Naruto, earning some more questions. Oh, I see, so only you can summon him, then, but why do I usually see your partner along with you even inside the village? Actually, Kurenai wanted to ask just what she and Hinata were chatting before. Was he as a summon or a partner like Akamaru? But Naruto already knew he would have to introduce Ace to Kurenai, but thought about how tough would be for him to get acquainted with anyone other than him, and that only happened since Naruto knew better than anyone Ace's situation, since he is a lone wolf, even though he now has Kurenai. To answer your question, Kurenai-chan, he is a summon, but he stays by my side like Akamaru does with Kiba, since he doesn't have anywhere to be, so he stays with me, and the reason I summon him inside the village is the fact that he is the only one who understands my lonely situation, said Naruto, now showing his deep cerulean eyes that showed them just how much he suffered through his life, since he didn't have much people who liked him or wanted to be with him, except for Kurenai and Kakashi. What do you mean? Lonely situation? Asked Anko, beating Kurenai since she was about to ask that as well, but she only sighed and looked at her boyfriend with explanations. She was intrigued by the way Naruto said, showing such sadness in his eyes. Oh, don't get me wrong, Kurenai-chan, Anko-san, I love Kurenai-chan so much and I couldn't be happier just to be with her, but both of you know that because of my burden, I pretty much have to fight it all by myself. As you both know, never in my life I was wanted or liked by anyone, other than you, Kurenai-chan, the third Hokage, Kakashi-sensei, Jiraiya-sensei, and the Godime. Ace came to me once, while I was on a mission, and he saw in my eyes the ferocity as well as the loneliness that he as well had. So we bonded easily and he agreed to stay with me. Said Naruto with a small grin on his face at seeing the eyes of the two girls wide with little tears, Kurenai more than Anko, since Anko's situation was similar but not to that length, and Kurenai being his boyfriend. He wasn't sad by any of it, since he long ago surpassed it, but scars remains on the soul, even though that damage was entirely healed. Kurenai and Anko could see it. They now knew just how since he was born, he was controlling the one who most likely destroyed half of Konoha inside of him and keeping it from getting out. Naruto, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were like this growing up, I can't begin to imagine what it must have been to you. And from the events that came before your entrance to ANBU, now it's no surprise as to why you changed so much, you had every right to just abandon everything. Said Kurenai, now understanding her boyfriend's painful life and the fact he came all this way, it was astonishing to watch. It's okay, Kurenai-chan, I surpassed it, but you know, scars do not only stay on your skin but on your soul as well, but as every pain, mine will vanish within time. I have no regrets of my decisions so far and I have true companions in my life, and that's more than I can ask for. You see, one of the reasons I joined ANBU, and I think that no one knows about it, but Ace, is that I wanted to leave whatever bad happened to me behind, and being ANBU was indeed helpful for it. With missions after missions, I was beginning to let go of that past of mine and focus on the present. So Kurenai-chan, you got yourself one hell of a guy. I have to say though, I didn't expect you to be like this at all, Naruto-kun. When I saw you at the Chunin exams that time, you're very much an annoying brat who keeps saying meaningless things like wanting to become Hokage and everything, but by taking a look at you, I now see you've grown exponentially. Saying Anko, earning a proud smile from Kurenai and a strange foxy grin from Naruto, which worried her a little bit. Oh, that wasn't me, Anko-san, you see back there, I was like that only to drive attention for myself, so as trying to compensate for the fact that I didn't have any of that back then. That's why I presume is very difficult to try and compare me now with the one back then, but believe you me when I say that the Hokage position isn't my dream, which in fact it never was. Said Naruto, to which Anko nodded. Anko indeed was trying to compare, but like Naruto said, she was having difficulties. Apart from the yellow hair and the whisker marks, he was completely different. Even his eyes were now different, which according to Anko, wouldn't ever change, but it did. His blue eyes now resembled a dark blue, instead of the clear blue ones he had as a child, and his eyes every now and again would change to pure yellow feral grin, when he displayed his killing intent technique. Kurenai-chan, we should be going, it's almost time. Right, we are going, Anko-chan, see you around and take care. As she said goodbye to the couple, Anko remained inside the restaurant lost in wonders about the couple that was in front of her. She was remembering how down Kurenai was before, and now she seemed happier than ever, as if they went back together. As to Naruto, she didn't know what to think of him. She didn't know that a person could change so much, and yet in front of her was the blonde who a few years back was a pain in the, now is an ANBU and quite a good one, from what she heard of the Black Wolf of Konoha through Yugo. Add the fact that he melted the heart of the Ice Queen of Konoha, which no one could do before. Outside Konoha's walls, right now, Kurenai and Black Wolf were jumping from tree logs, like they were on the ground. They were heading for the rendezvous point where they would meet with the Toad Sannin near the border between the Fire Country and Rice Country. Naruto, now with his mask on, was traveling along with his girlfriend Kurenai, who by the way was looking intently at her now masked boyfriend. She was remembering the first time she saw him wearing the mask when he rescued Team 8 along with Yugo. They were traveling for a good 3 hours, before the full moon appeared, showing some stars on the sky. Seeing this, Naruto aka Black Wolf made a sign for her to go down to the ground and rest until tomorrow. Once they stopped, Naruto's Kage Bunshins prepared the location, making the tent and starting some fire for them to stay. Once that done, the Kage Bunshin went to different directions along the jungle for guard duty, since they could warn Naruto of possible threats, covering more ground than if one ninja would keep watch. When they entered the tent, Kurenai saw Naruto take off his mask and didn't lose the opportunity. She kissed him, throwing him to the ground while landing on top of him. A few minutes later, they broke the kiss only for a quick break, then after some time, they started all over again, being certain that each of them was moaning sounds of pleasure through their mouths. So do you think your Kage Bunshins will protect us, Naruto-kun? This area can be quite dangerous, and possibly packed with enemies, asked Kurenai, just waiting for a clear signal for her to launch in his neck and start licking it. Do not worry, Kurenai-hime, I've already performed co-op strategies with the Kage Bunshins, so they should be alright. After all, when one is dispelled, his memory comes to me, so I can figure out that an enemy is close, answered Naruto, taking off his ANBU vest and his mask as well as putting them near, so that he can be comfortable alongside his lover. Oh, in that case, I wouldn't mind falling asleep on your chest, Naru-kun, whispered Kurenai, passing her fingers throughout his chest. A few miles away, close to the rendezvous point. A few miles away from Naruto and Kurenai's tent, 8 Kumo Junins were waiting for Konoha's ANBU Black Wolf to come and meet Jiraiya, and fall for the ambush they prepared. It was a work of right by one of the Kumo shinobis, and they fooled Konoha by falsifying the Sannin's signature, informing them to send ANBU Black Wolf here to meet the Toad Sannin. They would just surround the black masked ANBU, since according to their intel, he came pretty much alone, which meant that the odds would be against the black masked ANBU. Kumo already placed the Black Wolf Konoha ANBU as a B-rank shinobi on their bingo book, and that represented order to kill on sight. Seeing that Kumo had already lost 20 high-ranked shinobis to the masked ANBU, he sent a small army of mid-level Junins to deal with the new threat, by killing him and sending his head to Konoha, sending a clear message to not mess with Kumo. Yeah, Naruto was quite famous around Kumo's shinobi, since everyone from rank Chunin or above was aware of Black Wolf's ability in taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu and kenjutsu, and frankly no one wanted to take him alone, well, most Chunin and low-level Junin. The rest were too stubborn to realize that they weren't strong enough to deal with him. On the next day, Black Wolf and Kurenai were traveling faster now in order to reach the rendezvous point, but Naruto was worried, since normally either Gamakichi or Gamatatsu would appear and say that Jiraiya would be meeting with them. Now thinking, Naruto was expecting one toad summon quite a while ago and the latter hadn't come yet, worrying him to any sort of traps being planned by enemy shinobi. Even if Konoha had a bulletproof document analysis system, if the enemy were to possess knowledge in Fuinjutsu, Konoha would be easily fooled and send him in a suicide mission by mistake. Knowing that was better not to gamble the mission, one for Konoha and two for Kurenai, he immediately summoned two cage buncheons and hanged them into Kurenai and himself. The reason was to send the cage buncheons, not only fooling the enemy, but also learning their position and where to strike. Kurenai, upon seeing the technique, were interested as to what Naruto was thinking. Black Wolf, why the cage buncheons were hanged into us? Asked Kurenai, seeing the serious face on his boyfriend's face expression. Something's off, Kurenai. If Jiraiya were to wait for us, by now, he should have sent a toad summon to locate us and brief his precise location. I don't know, something is not right. These two will scout the area out for us. We are approximately 10 miles near the supposed rendezvous point. If my guess is correct, my hanged cage buncheons are going to be surrounded by enemy ninjas, explained Naruto, worrying his girlfriend. Are you sure, Black Wolf? I mean, if what you're saying is true, then the letter sent by Jiraiya was false. Yeah, even though Konoha's system is almost 100 effective, a Fuinjutsu seal could alter the letter content, making it look like it was from an important person. What shall we do, then? Shall we contact Konoha? Yes, Ace. You called, Black Wolf. Yes, go to Tsunade-sama's office, tell her that we believe that the letter was false and that we suspect of an ambush. Please transmit that message for me, asked Naruto, while writing it all down on a scroll. I'll be right back, Black Wolf, wait right here. Right, at Tsunade's office. Then, Ace poofed away and appeared at Tsunade's office, catching her sleeping, almost drooling on the paperwork. Seeing that, Ace sighed, seeing the resemblance that ran in the family of the Senju clan and the goofing off at the Hokage's room. Not having time to waste, Ace barked with all his might, scaring the shit out of Tsunade, making her jump out of the chair. Tsunade-sama, glad you're awake. Black Wolf told me to deliver this message to you. He is waiting a reply, said Ace, earning Tsunade's attention, making her forget to send the wolf back to where he came from. What? A message from Naruto? Give me. Tsunade-sama, I have reasons to suspect that enemy ninjas copied Jiraiya's signature and sent the letter seeking me to meet him, since so far my way of contact with Jiraiya-sama, either Gamakichi or Gamatatsu, haven't shown up yet. Me and Kurenai-san are hiding 10 miles near the meeting point. Being that, I request that a test be made on the document to check if a Fuinjutsu seal that altered the letter. Awaiting instructions on the manner. This is bad, Ace. If Naruto's right, the enemy wants him dead. Shizune, bring me Jiraiya's letter now. Ace, take this to Naruto, ordered Tsunade. Right away, Tsunade-sama. Back at the forest, Naruto and Kurenai were hiding behind the bushes, waiting for the cage buncheon's memory to come to Naruto, while Ace delivered the message to Tsunade-sama. Suddenly, Ace appeared out of nowhere, handing the message to Naruto. Black Wolf, this is serious. If it's another village, it can be dangerous in a political way. Do not go to the rendezvous point. You have a new mission. It's an investigation mission. Try to investigate who's the enemy that is supposed to wait for you to arrive, but do not engage the enemy. The evidence, if you're correct, will be revealed by the paper. I already sent a message to Jiraiya. I haven't received any response yet. Be careful. Godime. What did Tsunade-sama say? Kurenai asked, unable to see the message. She changed the mission to an investigation one. We have to see who's about to ambush us. He. Laughed Naruto, since he was about to do that with his cage buncheons anyway. Why are you laughing? Investigation mission are tough. We have to do it, and not get caught, said Kurenai, scowling her lover for his supposedly lack of maturity when handling such a mission. Oh sorry, it's just that my cage buncheons are already heading for the ambush. The minute the cage buncheons take a look at the enemy's Hitai-8, he will be dispelled and transfer all the information we need to cover. Wait, they dispelled? Kumo trapped us. Hurry Kurenai, we have to go. Focus chakra on your feet. We are in for quite a run. said Naruto as he ran and Kurenai followed just behind them, quite enjoying the way the mission turned out to be. After 5 hours of travel, Kurenai showed to Naruto that she couldn't take any more, but Naruto knew better than to stay and rest since the enemy might be coming to get them. Not seeing other alternative, Naruto turned to Kurenai, saying her to get on top of his shoulders so as to carry her at least until they were near Konoha. Kurenai, get on top of me, we have to continue, the enemy might come to us, please, said Naruto, almost as an order. You're not tired, we have been running for 5 hours and you suggest you carry me until Konoha, this is insane. After some time, Naruto convinced Kurenai by saying that he would take a soldier pill in the middle of the way and they both went towards Konoha's direction with Kurenai enjoying every minute of the ride with her boyfriend, seeing his hair flying with the wind, in a rather smooth way. Just how can Naruto land so smooth on a tree, like that? Wait, he's not only focusing chakra on his feet, he is creating a barrier around his boots so as to not only land without making any noise or sudden movements as well as not leaving any footmarks on the tree. ANBU can teach all sorts of things, can't they? Thought Kurenai, as she was enjoying her ride more and more. Naruto-kun, this is wonderful, we should do this again, sometime, said Kurenai, never remembering a day that she had this much fun. I'm glad you like it, Kurenai. On the things that ANBU's chakra control program teaches you is to travel fast by not leaving any footmarks on the trees or any solid, said Naruto, grinning at his girlfriend's happiness with the ride. After 2 hours more, Naruto zipped a soldier pill and the couple arrived at Tsunade's office 3 hours later. Upon arrival, Naruto and Kurenai entered Tsunade's office, well more like Kurenai dragging her boyfriend and putting him on a chair to gather his breath a little bit. Tsunade upon seeing this decided to grin a little bit, since she thought Naruto would never be tired. So, Black Wolf, I thought I would die first than see you ever become tired, said Tsunade, smiling a little bit at her surrogate son and subordinate ANBU, much to Naruto's dismay since he traveled twice, since he had to carry Kurenai as well. Tsunade-sama, you'd be just as tired traveling for 5 hours pumping chakra through your feet to go faster and I didn't say I was exhausted, I just needed to catch my breath a little bit, thank you Kurenai-chan. I feel better now, said Naruto, rising from the couch. If you were traveling for 5 hours, then why isn't Kurenai tired as well, said Tsunade, seeing Kurenai looking around and became suspicious. Actually, Tsunade-sama, after the first travel, I was really tired, so Naruto-kun I mean Black Wolf carried me here on his shoulders, not that I complain though, it was one hell of a ride, said Kurenai, earning a sigh from Tsunade and Shizune that upon hearing Kurenai, they turned to look at the infamous Black Wolf and wondered where the hell he got such energy from. Oh, so Black Wolf, it seemed you're right, Kumo did set you up, we analyzed the document and it was fake just like you suspected. Also Jiraiya sent me a letter explaining about your suspicion a little time ago, explaining that his contacts in Kumo warned him about it. Also, it seems that you are quite famous in Kumo, you're in their bingo book, listed as an B-rank shinobi, with the order to kill on sight. Congratulations, it seemed you got the attention you deserved, so to speak. Now we have to give you a nickname that can serve your reputation and scatter the information to the shinobi countries, any ideas? Said Tsunade, to which Naruto scowled, since he got into ANBU since they got to be behind the curtains, not have names on the bingo book. I don't care what the enemy name me, put whatever you want, said Naruto harshly, earning some glares from the girls present in the room. Naruto-kun, don't underestimate such names, take Kakashi for example, Sharingan no Kakashi, his name is feared worldwide, just like you are in Kumo, said Kurenai and Tsunade decided to add her side of the story. And do not think that the names are only for yourself, because it's not. It's for the village. Once your name got spread through the shinobi nations, the enemy would think twice before attacking, not counting the fact that we will have more clients hiring us for missions. Said Tsunade before managing to hear a sigh from the black-masked ANBU, knowing that he couldn't go against 3 women when they are settled. Okay, then, but I'm only doing it for the village, not for myself, because that would be a total waste of time. So my nickname will be Shippu Ukami, Hurricane Wolf, said Naruto, though again he couldn't care less about his fame along the shinobi countries. Konoha's Shippu Ukami, Sounds deadly and it matches to you quite nicely, Naruto. Having a natural affinity for wind as well as some wolf qualities yourself, okay, I'll spread the word. Shizune, be sure to take care of this and also send Kumo our regards from trying to deceive Konoha, said Tsunade, managing to hear a devious grin coming from behind the ANBU's mask. Like father, like son. Your father was feared in Iowa, you will be feared in Kumo.